Podcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
Hi, this is Leo Laporte, Chief Twit, and the host of the Tech Guy Show. This is my Tech Guy podcast. The show originally aired on the Premier Network's more than 200 radio stations coast to coast on Sunday, October 30th, 2022. This is episode 1940. Enjoy. The Tech Guy podcast is brought to you by OnLogic. OnLogic is helping innovators around the world solve their most complex technology challenges using OnLogic industrial computers engineered for reliability, even in environments that would challenge or destroy traditional computer hardware. Learn more and find out about OnLogic's 30-day risk-free hardware trial by visiting onlogic.com/twit. And by 8 Sleep. Good sleep is the ultimate game changer, and the pod is the ultimate sleep machine. Go to 8sleep.com/twit to check out the pod and save $150 at checkout. 8 Sleep currently ships within the U.S., Canada, the UK, select countries in the EU, and Australia. And by Unify Meeting from Mimo Monitors. Unify simplifies your work life by combining your favorite video conferencing solutions into one reliable, universal user interface. Visit unifymeeting.com and enter the code TechGuy for 25% off a year's subscription. Or use the same code to get 25% off any of Mimo's 7-inch displays. Well, hey, how are you today? Or should I say, hey, how are you today? It's Halloween Eve. Leo Laporte. No, I'm not going to do that all this show. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. I am wearing a costume, though. See if you can figure out what it is. This is the show where we talk about tech. 8888 Ask Leo is the phone number if you want to talk about tech. 888-827-5536. Toll free from anywhere in the U.S. or Canada. Outside that area, you can still call, but you have to use Skype out or something like that to reach this number. Shouldn't cost you a thing. 8888 Ask Leo. Website, techguylabs.com. techguylabs.com. I mentioned that because if you hear something on the show and you say, wait, what was that? I want to hear more. There will be more in the show notes. A link usually. There's also transcripts of the show. Takes a while. Give us a chance to get that up there. Also, even audio and video. And the nice thing about the transcripts, they have time codes in them. So you can search the transcript for the part you're interested in and then jump to that part of the audio or the video. Clever, hey? TechGuyLabs.com, episode 1940. Wow. 1,000. And people might say, oh, you start, that's what is that? Season 19, episode 40? Well, sort of actually could be, couldn't it? Almost. We do 104 shows a year, so it's very close. First show was January 2004. So that'll be 19 years in January. So actually, yeah, I guess it could be season 19, episode 40, although it's not. We just, it's not TV. There's no seasons here. It's a continuously running show for 1,940 episodes. Saving the world, one computer or smartphone or smartwatch at a time. It has changed a lot since 2004. We didn't have iPhones, which means we really didn't have smartphones in the way we mean today. Not quite. 8888 Ask Leo, the phone number. Do I have to say anything about Twitter? I probably don't need to. I'm really, the problem with Twitter is that it's a big deal for a certain small group of people, media types, news types, geeks. There are various, subcultures within Twitter that it's important to them, of course. Because one of the things that Twitter does is so cool is it lets you have a voice. However, little you had a voice in the past. Until the internet, really, in order to speak to the world, you had to get the permission of some great corporation. You had to convince some company to give you a chance on the radio or the TV or in a magazine or newspaper to write a book. You could self-publish, but, it was pretty hard and it was very expensive, those vanity books. And I guess you could, as a lot of us did in our youth, you could mimeograph, remember those? Your own neighborhood newspaper. Your reach was limited. Nowadays, thanks to YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, TikTok, blogs, and a bunch of other things, you can have a voice. You can have a national voice. And that's one of the things Twitter has done, especially for certain groups that have in the past not had a lot of voice. And so it will be sad to see Twitter decline. I think the decline is inevitable. I don't know. See a lot of people getting off Twitter. I'm not going to get off. I've done it in the past. I've told myself I'm not going to use Twitter anymore, and I certainly don't use it the way I used to. In the early days of Twitter, and I'm talking here 2006. Yeah, I was already the tech guy by then. In 2006, I joined up. At first, I was a little nervous because I have a podcast network, and I had that for a couple of years called Twit. Notice the trademark in the upper right-hand corner. That's for real. We trademarked it in 2005, long before Twitter existed. And that's always been a little sore spot for me. In fact, I quit Twitter for about 8 months, thinking I don't want to confuse people about what my podcast network Twit is and what Twitter is. And by the way, that's inevitable. And the worst thing that happens is a lot of people think I copied them. And there were podcasts called like Stock Twits, which was based on Twit. Now, the good news is Twitter in the early days kind of knew this. They knew about us. They knew it was confusing. And so they asked people not to call their posts twits, but tweets. Much better because it's a bird and it's a tweet. And, at the time when I came back to Twitter, I guess April 2007, I quit it for a few months. I joined in December 2006, quit, rejoined. I was talked into it. Justine, bless her heart, she's now a huge YouTube star, just at the beginning of her career, way back then, said, you got to be on Twitter, Leo. You got to be. That's where all the cool kids are. So I said, all right, And for a while, I was the most followed person on Twitter. Now, that's my claim to fame from 2007. I should mention at the time, I was the most followed person on Twitter with 5,000 followers. It wasn't, you didn't need much. And then my friend Kevin Rose, who was at the time kind of well-known because of his podcast, Dignation, and he owned a broadcasting company called Revision 3, and he'd been on G4 Tech TV. And so he and I were in a little race. He eventually beat me. And then, our 4,000, 5,000, 6,000 followers was quickly dwarfed when Hollywood discovered Twitter. I think it was Ashton Kutcher, of all people, from the 70s show, who was the first to really say, this is good. And he immediately got tens of thousands. There was a time, I don't know if it's still true, probably less so, but there was a time when if you were an actor, a movie star, a TV star, your salary and your ability to get work was very closely tied to the number of followers you had on Twitter. Yes, believe it or not. Because at the time, movie companies thought, if you got a lot of followers, you can generate a lot of free publicity by tweeting. We've learned since most of those followers aren't even seeing what you're saying. The nature of Twitter means they're not. Most of the movie stars have left because Twitter has always been a somewhat toxic place for celebrities. Why? Because then everybody has a voice. Turns out, if everybody has a voice, some of those people aren't going to be nice. Unfortunately, one of those people who's not very nice is a guy named Elon Musk, who now owns Twitter. So I have to think that's not a great thing. But we'll see. We shall see. He spent a lot of money on it. He's got a problem, right? He spent $44 billion on it. Twitter has never been able to show what they call a path to profitability. Occasionally it'll make money, but almost always it loses money. Even though there's about 350 million regular users, monthly active users, they call them. That's over and above the bots and the spammers and the people who don't pay attention. Twitter says about 300 million people who pay attention. which is dwarfed by the, 3.5 billion on Facebook, et cetera, et cetera. But that's, 300 million is more than what is the population of the U.S. now? It's close to it. And, it's like if everybody in the U.S. were on Twitter, that would be the number. Of course, it's an international thing. That's one of the problems Elon's going to have, is now he has countries all over the world, including countries he's trying to do business in with Tesla, like China, are going to say, hey, if you want to keep selling these cars, you got to let us put a little propaganda up there on your Twitter. That's going to be a problem for him. He's got a lot of money invested. He's got investors. He's got banks with loans, and all of that is, there's going to be a lot of pressure on him, even though it's no longer a public held company. No more stockholders are bored, but he's still got to make some money back. He's going to lose his shirt on this. I think that's inevitable. Here's my prediction. Elon is going to rapidly get a lesson in social media and business and understand that he can't do anything he wants. He's going to polish it up as best he can. And in a year or so, he's going to take it public again. He's going to have an IPO, and crossing his fingers that he'll get some of his $44 billion back. He won't get it all. Just crossing it. If he can really polish it nicely, put a little sheen on that old Twitter, maybe he gets some of his money back. And then he's going to wash his hands of it. He didn't want to buy Twitter. Almost instantly, he regretted saying he was going to. Almost instantly, tried to get out of it, realized he wasn't going to get out of it, so he bit the bullet, bought it. He'll now mess with it. The question is, can he control his impulses? Right? Because he's very impulsive, right? Can he control his impulses long enough to really polish it up and get it out of his portfolio as quickly as he can? 8888, ask Leo, the phone number. I'll tell you what, it's going to be fun to watch. I promise not to talk about it too much. Just that much. Just as much as I just did. 8888, ask Leo. We'll take your calls. Talk about something else next. She's our black magic phone call person. Ladies and gentlemen, I like you're a wolf today. Kim Schaffer.
More of a fox, but
you're a fox. She's a black magic fox. Kim Schaffer. That's cute. Answers the phone, and it's warm. It does double duty.
Double duty. It's going to keep me warm for the show because it's an ice house in here.
I like your costume, Kim.
Thank you.
This is the part of the show where we say hello to Kim Schaffer, who is the person who answers your calls and gets you on the air. I am ready now.
Ready and willing and able
to take. Well, I'm ready and willing anyway.
Are you able?
Able is another matter entirely. Let's try anyway.
Well, let's try Pete in Amesbury. Barry. He told me it's Barry, like people, Barry people.
Amesbury.
Bury.
Okay.
But
it's in Mass.
Halloween
so
theme.
I think like in Massachusetts they say Peabody. I thought it might be Amesbury.
Oh, it probably is.
Let's see. Let's talk to the man who knows, Pete. Thank you, Kim. Hello, Pete.
Here I am.
Amesbury.
It is Peabody.
Peabody.
No, Peabody.
He's the one Massachusetts man that calls it Peabody.
Peabody. It's Peabody. I think the Peabody family calls it Peabody, but I don't know. How do you say Amesbury?
Amesbury.
Amesbury. Okay, like a berry.
But it's spelled like you bury a body.
Right, but it's pronounced berry.
Correct.
Okay, got it. Thank you. I grew up in Providence, but as you can tell, I
know your mom is here.
Yeah, my mom's in Cranston. But as you can tell, I somehow trained the accent out of me.
Well, I every so often I bet there's something coming.
Oh, it does.
In a
and my wife laughs at me when I call it an orange. Or I say, I'm going to go to my room now. And she goes, what? You're what? My room. No, it's room. Yeah, that's what I said. And she goes, no. So there's a few, you're right, there are a few words that are in
You would think after a million years she would give up on you.
Oh, no, she loves it. She likes having a little something. You know what I'm saying? A little something.
A little pet thing to bother you.
A little something a little button she can, just a little button she can push. So what can I do for you, Pete?
Well, I was calling, as I explained to the lovely Angel, bought an older Samsung phone. It was new, open box. And what I found out from my own investigation was after so long, when they send the new updates, it basically screws up an old phone, so you have to buy a new.
Now that I don't think they're trying to do that, but maybe it does
it's a
happen.
good business model.
Yeah, they would get in a little trouble if they really did that. But it may be that. So what they try to do is stop updating phones that'll break. Because they don't want to keep checking and testing with all the older phones. Which model of Samsung is it?
I have an S10e.
It's not even that old.
No, but like I said, it's one person said, well, it's probably 5 or 6 years old, even though I've only owned it as a...
It's not even that old. It was announced and came out in February 2019.
Okay.
So it's actually 3 years old. You should still be getting updates, but you're getting at the edge. Every manufacturer has a different rule of thumb, but Samsung has been pretty good about keeping phones up to date.
What's going on with that? That basically, I think is going to die at some point.
Yeah,
and
battery's the first one to give out. By the way,
what's that?
Battery is the first thing to give out. But if you say it's never been used, then the battery should be fine. You're starting from whenever you started charging it.
Yeah, it still had the skin on the edges when
Perfect.
I got the phone.
Good. Yeah.
Okay, so it was an open box. Somebody looked at it and said, "Oh, I want a much bigger screen than that."
Yeah.
I prefer
That's a great way to get a deal, by the way, because for a long time, companies would sell those as new, and the law changed, and they found out, we can't. We have to say it's used.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's just like if you title a car. Once you title that car,
exactly.
It doesn't matter if it has 1 mile on it.
Titled a what? A what?
Car.
Title a what?
Title a car.
A car?
The only way I can hide that is say vehicle.
Vehicle.
I don't even know how to say it the other way.
Car. It's fine. No, I understand you. I speak Massachusetts.
You speak New England.
Yeah, I speak New England. That's mean. I'm sorry. I just love it. Frankly,
Fine.
I think regionalisms, accents should be preserved, not all homogenized out of existence. That's what makes us interesting and unique.
Yeah. Well, why do people travel?
Right.
Just to see what's there.
Right. Exactly. I don't want everybody to be like me. Anyway, to get back to this, so what's the behavior that's happening? What's going on?
Well, what the phone has done twice, it lasts about a day, is I'll turn it on. It appears to make a phone call, but it doesn't ring and it doesn't go anywhere. So I can't send a phone call or get a phone call, but if they call me, my phone doesn't ring. And they get the voicemail.
And who's the carrier?
I can get a text, but 99% of the time I can't send a text. But the internet works fine.
That's weird. Who's the carrier?
I'm using Mint, which is...
Yeah, I like Mint. They're a sponsor, actually. We know Mint well. I use Mint.
Oh, okay, good.
Yeah, I like Mint. Good choice.
I'm glad I'm, in a way, supporting you.
Yes, thank you. You are. And, of course, Ryan Reynolds, who needs help. Yes. That's a weird behavior. It doesn't sound like it's a phone behavior, unless then there's one thing you should check. Android has a lot of, and probably Mint as well, have a lot of features to block robocalls. And one of the things Android will do, if the call is, they think spam, is it will do exactly that behavior. Just send it right to voicemail, and you'll never hear it ring.
They've been calling me for years.
Yeah, but it just may be. So you should look in the settings, and I would turn off any spam blocking in the settings. That's certainly one thing, because people complain like crazy about spam calls. The text's not going through. That's not good. But honestly, I don't think that's the phone. I think that's more likely the carrier, or somehow the carrier's relationship to the phone, and that goes down to the settings, what they call the APN settings on the phone. The APN, the access point name, is, believe it or not, smartphones have to have a website to go to interact. It establishes a connection between the carrier's network and your phone. So make sure you have the right APN for Mint Mobile. You can Google that, and they will tell you what it should be and where it should be set. That's another thing that can make a difference. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. For instance, you're on T-Mobile with Mint, but you probably don't have T-Mobile APN. Let me just see what the Mint Mobile APN is.
Okay.
Because that can also cause it. You know, sometimes, I don't know if you've seen this, every once in a while you'll see an update that says
2.25 years.
it just started going bad, huh?
This just happened.
Yeah. But remember, as they update
Week, 1 day.
stuff,
That's what I would.
yeah, but it's not necessarily that they broke it. It's just that the settings might have new features like spam call blocking might have been added, things like that.
Okay.
So let me just look at what Mint Mobile's APN should be. Oh, here's what you do. Here's a way to do this. This might help. Text setup, SETUP, to the short code 6700, 6700. So you send a text message at 6700 called that says setup. What that will do is send you a notification that will install appropriate settings. That's nice. Mint Mobile made that nice to do. That's great.
That will be nice.
That's specific to Mint Mobile.
It'll come in. I'll know it's either right or it's wrong.
Yeah, that's specific because their APN is weird. The APN is wholesale. Okay, that's something T-Mobile probably did to them.
Yeah.
So
what I do like about Reynolds is he tries to have fun with the business.
oh, I love it.
Model.
We love Mint Mobile. I mean, their price is incredible.
$15 for 4 gigs.
I know, and it's T-Mobile. It's good. It's the same service. The only negative is international. If you travel internationally.
Well, again, you can buy from them, so it will work everywhere.
Right.
Whereas if you bought it through T-Mobile, they had that one plan that you really can't get without going into the store.
Yeah.
For $15 a month.
No, I think you're right. I think Mint Mobile's fantastic.
Yeah, it came with less data, and they wouldn't even let you buy something to use in another country.
Right.
It will.
Oh, that's good to know. Oh, that's good to know. Oh, that's really good to know. Oh, that because I have I have a phone I take internationally that's on Google Fi, but maybe I will take my Mint Mobile phone next time. That's good.
The other thing you can do from what I hear, I haven't tried it because I'm not a fan of Facebook, is they bought that app that will let you use your phone international.
Huh.
If you set it, I would know it.
What? Not WhatsApp.
Yes, that's it.
Oh, WhatsApp. Okay. Yeah.
If you use that will let you make calls without paying Mint Mobile.
Right.
From what I hear.
Right. Yeah. WhatsApp is data only. So in any event, try that. I think this is kind of cool. This texting setup to 6700. See if that helps. And then the other thing to do is go in your settings, take a look at your spam call blocking, which is new.
Okay.
And it may be when you got an update to the latest Android, that feature got turned on because they leave it on by default because people don't want those. But if it's blocking calls you want, that's not what you want. So turn that off.
Well, what I like about a phone is I can, I'm looking for this kind of money. Okay, click, block, click.
Yeah. Yeah.
I get less and less every day.
Yeah, good. Yeah. One thing you can't block right now is election texts, but that's okay. It's almost over. Okay. Our long national nightmare is almost over. Hey, have a great day. It's great to talk to somebody from Amesbury.
Yes. Thank you so much.
Take care. Thanks, Pete.
Yeah,
bye. Our show today brought to you by brand new sponsor, OnLogic. OnLogic. You probably are no more than a few feet away from a personal computing device, right? Something that's changed your life, made your life better, that's done so much for you. There's an entire hidden world of computing that you may not even see. It's revolutionizing things like sustainable agriculture, bringing smart cities to life, increasing manufacturing efficiency to improve the quality of our lives. And that's where you will find, if you look for them, if you know where to look, OnLogic's distinctive orange industrial and embedded computers. They say they're sending one. I can't wait to get this. OnLogic is the first choice in industrial computing for innovators around the world who need computing power that can survive and thrive where traditional hardware might fail. OnLogic, these are so smart, right? These little computing solutions that could fit in the palm of your hand and yet power everything from advanced robotics to AI to manufacturing automation, digital media solutions, smart agriculture technologies, and they're hardened so they can survive in a variety of environments. They're engineered specifically for reliability. Many OnLogic computers don't even have fans. They're passively cooled. In fact, you can see the fins, they're ventless, so there's no dust coming in, protecting internal components from airborne contaminants like dust. With no fans, you also get a completely solid-state device. No sound, no movement, no moving parts. That protects against shock and vibration. Other design features and specialized components protect systems from extreme temperatures, from interference. They've got a variety of solutions for almost any environment. And OnLogic, OnLogic systems are extensively tested to operate reliably wherever they're needed. You might see them, Dr. Mom, in the hospital. You'll see on those distinctive orange OnLogic computers on carts frequently. You might see them in a remote mining operation. I mean, they're all over. The team at OnLogic truly cares about creating right-fit solutions tailored specifically to solve your unique technology challenges. OnLogic partners with leading software companies like AWS, to enable rapid evaluation and deployment of edge computing solutions. I was just talking about this the other day, that this is the future of computing. It's moving to the edge. Computers, intelligence everywhere. OnLogic's line of AWS IoT Greengrass-compatible computers have been vetted by AWS, so you get the peace of mind. It's going to work right out of the box. It's got all the security features of Greengrass. It's a good solution. If you need a computing solution that can be easily configured to your needs, supported by industry experts who are just a phone call away, or you can chat with them on the website, of course, email, delivered to you quickly, the team at OnLogic is ready to help. I want to go visit these guys because what they're doing is great. It's fantastic. To get started, learn more about OnLogic's 30-day risk-free hardware trial. Visit onlogic.com/twit. 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 We thank them so much for their support. And you support us too, by the way. Really important to use those special addresses I give out. onlogic.com/twit. That's how they know you saw it here. Tell your friends, tell your family, tell your boss. onlogic.com/twit. Whoa, Leo Laporte, the tech guy. I put a spell on you. Halloween Eve, the evening of Halloween, because Halloween's tomorrow. But we can celebrate Halloween Eve. I mean, look at Kim's outfit. She's celebrating. She'd probably wear that all the time, I think, if she could.
When it's cold.
Yeah. You can keep those. Those are yours. Wear them every day from now on. So this is Devil's Night. Do you know about Devil's Night?
No.
This is the night before Halloween, or sometimes they call it Mischief Night, because this is when bad teenagers go out and cause...
I think that was more last night, though, because that was Saturday night.
Yeah, maybe.
So...
Yeah, maybe.
There was a whole lot of mischief going on last night.
I'm glad I'm not a teenager, and I'm glad I don't have teenagers. Those weren't fun days. Let's go back to the phones. We've got Sam, almost called you Spam, from Perdido Key, Florida. Hi, Sam.
Bonjour, Monsieur Laporte.
Bonjour, comment ça va? Oh, you obviously can see my costume.
Mais oui.
I am Hercule Poirot today.
Well, as far as my high school French goes, but I do have a question about the fairly new iOS feature for people who pay for the little extra program from Apple that works sort of like a VPN. It's called Private Relay.
Yeah. This is interesting. Both, by the way, Apple and Google now is starting to do a VPN on their Pixel phones. I think these companies are saying, we got to help protect our users. Private Relay, though, is not exactly the same as a VPN. So what's your question?
Does it really obscure your activity from your internet service provider?
Yes and no. Yes and no. From your ISP, that's an interesting question. So a VPN, which is software you run on your phone or your computer, scrambles everything from the point it leaves your computer. So your ISP can only see scrambled data. They can't see where you're going, what you're doing, any of that. Private relay is not the same thing. It's kind of a complicated dual hop thing. So what it's really hiding your internet searches and traffic from is not your internet service provider. They're still going to see what you're doing. It's from the website you're going to. That's my understanding of it. So it isn't quite as complete as an ISP. What Private Relay does is you go out on the internet, and the first place your request says you want to go to yahoo.com. First place the request goes is to Apple. It goes in the clear to Apple, so your ISP can see it. Then Apple sends it along to another company called Fastly, and then it goes to the website Yahoo. So let's see. Do you see? Yeah, it says, okay, I'm looking at Apple now. I'm trying to understand. I'm on the Fastly site, trying to understand. It looks like the website you're going to is not visible to your ISP. However, your IP address is. Apple can see it and your ISP can see it. Then Apple gives you a new address, and the website name now becomes in the clear. So yes, it does protect you from, it looks like, from your internet service provider seeing where you're going. So website owners don't see your address. By the way, this is completely obviated if you have logged your browser into Google or Facebook or any number of sites, and then you go to a site that is using login by Google, or you go to Google sites, or you go to Facebook or Facebook sites that use Facebook's login, all of them can see who you are. They don't care about your IP address anyway, because they know who you are, because you signed into Google or Facebook or Twitter or any of these. So this doesn't work if your browsers. This is why Google has such an advantage, incidentally. Because almost everybody, right, when you first get your computer set up, the first thing says, okay, log into Google now. And then you're logged into Google, and unless you take steps to unlog in, every search you do on Google, everywhere you go that Google serves an ad to or whatever, Google sees you. And they don't see your IP address. They see an actual cookie that says you are you. They say, oh, hi, Sam. So that's why Google, what we call this, and by the way, Apple too, they call this first-party data. First-party data is the company that's doing it can always see who you are. The people have made a big deal about third-party cookies following you around, but this doesn't fix that. So, boy, this is a complicated question, and I think, unfortunately, Apple and others use the shortcut, oh, it's like a VPN. It isn't. It's more like, maybe a little bit more like Tor, where it's kind of routing your traffic through a couple of different things. Private Relay, this is what Apple says, Private Relay hides your IP address and browsing activity in Safari and protects your unencrypted internet traffic so that no one, including Apple, can see who you are or what sites you're visiting. So, okay, good. But remember, if you're logged into Google and you do a Google search, Google knows it's you. They don't unlog you from Google. So it's kind of complicated. I think it's pretty hard to stay private. But what is your goal?
Well, just wondering whether it would take the place of a VPN if you were like in a hotel and
yes,
into your
it does do that,
or doing those sorts of things.
It does do that if you're using Safari, but only if you're using Safari.
Only I use Safari.
Yeah. So the service encrypts your data as it leaves your device, just like a VPN does, so that no one can digitally eavesdrop your communication. So in that respect, it's like a VPN. Remember, that's also the case when you log into any secure website. So when you go to Amazon or your bank, it's HTTPS. You'll see that in the browser bar. That means it's encrypted from your computer outward. So it's also protected. But there are sites that are not HTTPS. There are fewer and fewer of those. So it's become less and less of an issue. It's a complicated thing. There's a chat room's put a Wired article up, how Apple iCloud Private Relay works. It's probably more information than anybody needs to know. It is not the same as a VPN. In some respects, it's better. In some respects, it's worse. Depends what you're trying to do.
Leo, thank you so much for the old days.
Thank you for calling. I appreciate it, Sam. I'm sorry I called you spam. This is complicated, and like a lot of stuff on the internet and in the computers, sometimes even reading the description of it, and even for me, and I'm pretty technical, it's not completely clear what's going on. I guess here's what you should know. It's not a VPN. It's like a VPN. You have to use Safari on your iPhone, your iPad, your Mac. Actually, does it work on your Mac? Yeah, I think they have it on the Mac now. It will encrypt the data coming out of your computer so your ISP can't see it. So somebody in a coffee shop who's spying on you can't see it. But your location is known. It's slightly obscured. It only hides your IP address. And the most important thing to understand is many sites, Google and Facebook, chief among them, will still know it's you. If you can use Private Relay and go to Facebook and not have to log in again, if Facebook doesn't go, well, who are you? They don't. They go, oh, hi, come on in, Pete. Then it's not hiding your identity. Not only not from Google and Facebook, but any other sites that use Google or Facebook. Ads, like buttons, logins, all of them. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. In some respects, it's faster than a VPN because it's not sending you, your traffic still is going direct, but it's not sending you through a server somewhere else. Well, it sort of is. It uses oblivious DNS over HTTPS. I'm not kidding. Yeah, for the you're talking about location, Joe. You get a choice of exact location or general location. Like, you could be coming from no location, Petaluma, or I think you can even say down to no, maybe not. Just so, yeah, because the IP address is used for location, so it'll still say you're in Petaluma, or it won't say where you are at all. It's spooky season. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. When did we start calling it spooky season? When did that happen? When Halloween went from one evening a year to an entire month. When did that happen? And now my wife tells me that immediately at the end of Halloween, we're putting up Christmas decorations. So then it'll be holiday season. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. We are going to play spooky music today, no matter what. Leonard on the line from San Diego. Hello, Leonard.
How are you?
I'm great.
I hope that Elon does not change Twitter. I'm on Twitter. You can talk to anyone, even the governor of California.
Isn't that cool? That's the advantage, right? You have a voice.
I'm just an average person. I don't even know if these people Twitter me back, if it's an assistant or whatever. But
I think it's not going to change that much. I will hope that for most of us, it's not going to be that different. But again, you don't know because Elon's kind of unpredictable.
He's going to try and get advertising on there so he can get some money.
Right.
I guess he just fired the two CEOs and CFOs, but they walked away with millions of dollars. So,
actually, that may not be the case. The latest is that Elon is going to claim they were fired for cause and cannot collect their severance packages, which for the CEO, Parag Agrawal, is $40 million. So imagine that one's going to go to court. How can you fire somebody for cause when you just took over? You don't even... What did they not salute him when he walked down the hall? What's the cause? I'd be very curious to see more about that. Anyway, yeah, I'm taking a wait and see thing. I know a lot of people have left Twitter. I'm going to stick around. I'll take a wait and see attitude on this because it's as you say, it's a great place. We tell people all the time, if you're having trouble with a company, tweet at them. Often works really well.
Same thing on TikTok. I have over 2,000 people following me on TikTok.
You're a TikTok star. What do you put on your TikTok?
I don't have anything. I don't even have the videos on there.
Oh.
Okay. And here's a guy from San Diego, and I got over 2,000 people following me, and they keep telling me, put on, Leonard, put on video. There are people on that have millions of people that are watching them.
I know. My son has more than 2 million followers on TikTok. He's a chef. So, TikTok's kind of amazing, too. TikTok's like short form TV, It's like just a minute of something funny or silly or whatever, and then the next, and then the next, and then the next.
You can get money. You can get, if you have like 1 million or something, you can get money on that. I don't know how much money it's.
Oh, no, my son's doing quite well. He's doing quite well. He sells products. I just saw an ad he did for Heinz mustard, and he makes spicy sandwiches. So I saw this on somebody sent it to me from Facebook. I think Kim did. It was a video of him making a spicy sandwich, and then he said, "You're going to need some Pepto with this." And it's an ad for Pepto, and I thought, wow. So yeah, he doesn't tell me how much he makes. I don't want to know, but I think he's doing okay. Plus, he's got a book deal and taking meetings with Netflix.
There's a lot of actresses that they put you in their kitchen and they make cookies and stuff like that.
Follow, look for Salt_Hank. Salt_Hank. That's my boy.
Okay.
You'll see some delicious food. The only reason I don't like it is it makes me hungry.
Leon, how come you don't go on?
I'm kind of, unlike you, Leonard, I'm old-fashioned, and I just, I do this radio thing, and I do a bunch of podcasts, and, when I started doing podcasts 15 years ago, it was the next big thing. Now it's kind of old hat, so I just like what I do, and I thought about TikTok. I think we have a TikTok. I think it's called Twit Talk, because my podcast network is Twit, but I don't know what we do with it. So I have people, Leonard. I have an entire marketing department.
Can I ask you one other question?
Yeah, sure.
And tell where you live. Is it Amy that makes soups?
Amy's soups. Yeah, they're good. Do you like Amy's soups?
Terrific. Do you know her?
I know her daughter because my daughter went to school with Amy Berliner. Yeah, I know Amy.
Is it a big operation?
Yeah, it's a pretty big operation. They're just moving into their downtown headquarters in beautiful Petaluma, California, where we are. They took over the old big department store downtown, and they're renovating it. Yeah, it's a big operation.
Wow. But I enjoy the soups. They're very good.
I do, too. My TikTok, I have a TikTok. My TikTok is I'm sorry. My TikTok is TwitTok. 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 And I didn't even know I had it. But unfortunately, we only have 340 followers. So if you would send us some of your followers, Leonard, I would appreciate it.
Okay.
You've got more followers than I do because we need to put more things up on there. That's what obviously we got to do more stuff.
There's new things coming on all the time that advertise on TikTok. It's a competition with TikTok.
Do you worry? As some do, maybe even the White House does, about the fact that TikTok is owned by a Chinese company, ByteDance? Do you worry about that?
Absolutely not. It's the stupidest thing. Trump tried to get him off. It's stupid. Okay, what's the difference? Your phone, almost every phone is made in China.
Yeah.
So if they want to put a chip in there, they're going to do it.
You're a sensible man. I like you, Leonard. You obviously got a good head on your shoulders. No wonder you have 4,000 followers on TikTok.
No, what happens is each 1 month,
Yeah. Yeah.
there's over 1 billion people on TikTok
Yeah.
throughout the world,
Yeah.
which is pretty good.
That's
No?
amazing.
Like me,
It's amazing.
a small little guy like me, I can talk to somebody in Australia if I want.
I know. I love that.
England,
Don't you love that?
France.
I love that.
Who cares? Who cares if they're from Mars? I don't care. If they're from Australia. What do I care?
It's bringing
I don't have
peace
nothing to hide anyway.
on earth, goodwill to men, right? And women, because we're all there and talking to one. That's the solution to everything, is to just talk to one another, right? That's what we do here. Leonard, you're a sense.
When I'm on Twitter, Gavin Newsom, who's the governor of California,
That's right.
one day he wants to be the president of the United
Yes,
States.
that's right.
He comes on. I answer him. He answers me.
You talk with the gov. Isn't that awesome?
Jill Biden comes on my Twitter. The president of the United States Twitters me. I think it's terrific.
Yeah. I think, Leonard, you have a good head on your shoulders. Before we run out of time, because we're going to do that in 2 minutes and 21 seconds, do you have anything you wanted to ask?
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry.
Oh, no, I don't mind.
Yeah.
I'll talk about whatever you want.
No, I'm sorry. I just was...
I'm just some schmo on the radio. It doesn't matter, Leonard, whatever you...
Nobody else.
I am here to serve you. Yeah, I'll talk to you anytime. I love talking to you. I'm here to serve.
I have a Moto G7.
Yes.
My volume doesn't come on. It's very low. If I put into the jack my plugs, I can hear, and I juggle a little bit, and it comes on. What is my problem?
Yeah,
sir?
there is on Android, there is a setting in the sounds setting that will limit it to protect your hearing. So you want to make sure that setting is set as high as you want. From years of headphone use, I, like many radio folks, I've damaged my hearing. I have continuous ringing in my ears, and Google and Apple and others are trying to protect your hearing. So go into from settings, choose sounds and vibration and volume, and then you can choose how loud it'll be. That's the first thing to do for sure. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. More calls right after this. There you go. We'll put that link in the show notes, Leonard. Scooter XFL1, Motorola G7 power volume problems. Let me see what it says. I'm reading it. Kept changing the volume by himself. There's no solution in this. Might be a physical issue, especially if you plug in the headphones and then it goes up and down. Yeah, there's no solution in that thread. It's just, I don't know. So I think Ty is starting to post stuff on our TikTok. That's nice. Thank you, Ty. Because the TikTok, the last video posted here was July 2021. Sarah and Burke bashing a computer. And then all of a sudden, 2 days ago, there's another one. So I think Ty has decided to post for us. Thank you, Ty. He's one of our new marketing guy. Because it was a lot of old stuff. So let's get that TikTok back in shape, huh? Let's get this working. Some of this stuff was pretty old. There's Mary Jo Foley visiting the studio for the holiday show. And Stacy. And there's Lisa. That's cool. That's cool. So there's some historic stuff. I like the hitting the computer with a hammer. I don't know who was in charge of this. Well, hey, or should I say, welcome, Leo Laporte here, the tech guy. Time for the Tech Guy Show. We talk about computers. We talk about the internet and how it works. We talk about smartphones, smartwatches. I just got the new Meta Oculus Quest Pro. Maybe they don't say Oculus anymore. I guess they just say Quest. The Quest Pro VR helmet that Meta announced a couple of weeks ago. 1,600 schmackers, but I bought it for you because I'm not into this. Frankly, I'm not. I put in. I hear the hype about virtual reality, and I a little bit fall for it. Back in the day, when Oculus was not owned by Meta/Facebook, they had a Kickstarter to get started, and I put in the money. I think the same. It was like a lot of money. Got the first Oculus Quest, or it was Rift. It was called, wasn't it? Oculus Rift, and then they sold to Facebook, which irritated a lot of the people who put in money to support the company on Kickstarter, because like, do I get Facebook money from that? No. So they said, okay, sorry. Well, we'll send you the new one. So I have two of those. And then I got the HTC Vive because that was reputedly better. All of this gets handed down to my kid because he and his buddies, he's 19 now, but a few years ago when he was, 16, he and his buddies would come over and they'd play virtual games. And I guess they liked it. And I thought, well, maybe this is the future for young people, not for me, because it slightly nauseated me, and it was cool. It was like a good technology demo. It was cool, but ultimately not that great. Did not get the Quest 2 because you had to have a Facebook account. I don't. But then they said, oh, you can have a Meta account instead, which it turns out is the same as a Facebook account, I think. But anyway, I have a Meta account now. I should try logging into Facebook with my Meta account. I wonder what would happen. I have an account of some kind, and so I thought, well, I owe it to I don't owe it to Mark Zuckerberg. I owe it to you to report back and say whether it's happening, whether VR is the next big thing. And one of the things they did with this $1,600 device, they put more cameras on it, and they have two color cameras facing out. So for the first time, even though you're wearing this opaque visor over your head, you can see what's around you. It's kind of ironic because the real world is a little fuzzy, like it's a little virtual, and the virtual world feels very real. So I don't know if that's on purpose, but yeah, you can at least, and it's in color, and so you won't walk into walls anymore. And if somebody's sneaking up on you, you can see them because you could, and you see them in color even. So that's good, I guess. And I played a lot of games. We're going to, next Saturday, I'm going to bring it in. I'm going to make Micah play a game called Richie's Plank. You go up in an elevator, very, very high in a city. It's not super real. It's a little cartoony, but you go high. And then the door opens and you're looking out and you're looking down. And it's, 80 stories up. And there's a thin little plank in front of you sticking out. And the idea is, go ahead, walk out on the plank. And it's a very good demonstration of how your body overrules your logical mind, because I know I'm in my living room and I'm not going to hurt myself. I'm not going to fall. That plank is imaginary, but my body says, don't go it. Don't, no. I could not bring myself to step out on that plank. I couldn't do it. No, not going to do it. It just, I don't know what, my limbic system, I don't know what it was, my heart, my liver, something said to my brain, no. Brain, you're just wrong. You're not in your living room. You're standing in an 80-story building, and you're going to fall if you step out there. And it stopped me. I guess you could get your brain to override it, but it's a lot of effort. It's a surprisingly large amount of effort. So there's something there. Really, the virtual reality's gotten better and better. The cameras are better, the screens are better, the software's faster. You're no longer attached by a wire tethered to a big computer. You're just moving around in space. So it's definitely improved. Is it the next big thing? Maybe, but not yet. Maybe, but not yet. Not now. Don't buy this. No. Do not. Unless you're absolutely hardcore VR, freak. Because it's cool. It's still a great technology demo, not yet useful. It's funny because Meta announced this thing in hand in hand with Microsoft. Like you're going to go into your Teams meetings wearing this thing, or you're going to use Windows or Office using this thing. It's not that comfortable. You don't want to spend more than an hour on it. I don't think so. Let's go back to the phones. 8888 Ask Leo. David's on the line from Redondo Beach, California. Hi, David.
Hi, Leo. Can you hear me okay?
I hear you great.
Okay, great. So I'm the laptop elf. We've talked a few times before.
Hello, laptop elf.
Thank you, Leo. We're doing well, and I just wanted to say a big thank you to you for all the great service you do for those of us who use tech, and
nice
for those of us who help others with their tech. Really invaluable.
It's my
the need goes on forever.
It's my great pleasure, and thank you for what you do. He takes old computers and fixes them up, right? For seniors and others.
Right. That's right. For nonprofits that help low-income families, and for public school teachers and some other groups. And wanted to tell you about, so this year we've given away over 520 computers. It's been our biggest year ever. And one of the things that's helped for computers that are too old for Windows 10 or Mac OS High Sierra, they're starting to use Chrome OS Flex. And you're having a pretty good experience with it. Not excellent. There are still some older units that Flex doesn't have the drivers for. And I still haven't found, I don't think it has the ability for power washing yet, which is, I think, one of the great features of Chromebooks.
So in the past, what were you putting on there? Linux, Windows?
Yeah, so we were putting Linux on, and the communities that we help, Linux doesn't seem to be a really good fit.
Maybe too complicated, or the software they want to use isn't there. Chrome OS Flex is Google's Chrome OS, and I highly recommend Chromebooks to people. They bought a company called Neverware that took the open source Chrome OS and put it on old Windows laptops. It's you know this. It's really just a locked down Linux. That it's just a browser.
Right.
But people who use computers pretty much, almost everybody now knows how to use a browser. So it hides the details of Linux, and it's just a browser. And so they bought Neverware, and now they offer this. And your experience matches mine, where when it works, it's great. And there are a few systems it still doesn't work on. But I did not know that it doesn't do the power wash, because that's too bad.
Yeah, I tried it most recently about a month ago, and there was no functionality for it. You can always just reinstall Chrome OS Flex, but that's going to be a little bit too techy for the folks we give this to. So I'm hoping they'll add that feature in the future. Yeah,
reinstalling Power Wash is essentially reinstalling automatically.
Right. Yeah.
They should add that. I don't know what maybe they don't want it to happen by accident. When you do it on a Chromebook, you have to jump through some hoops. And maybe that's part of the problem, is it'd be too easy to do it by accident.
Yeah, that could be. But anyway, it's been a great ad, because almost everybody we help can make good use of the Chromebook.
Sure.
Chrome OS Flex laptop. And so it's really expanded the number of people we can give our refurbished laptops to.
Plus,
I wanted to give
it runs on lower quality hardware very well, so you don't have to have 8 gigs of RAM or whatever. Give us your web address. Do you publish a web address?
So I don't have a website, but if you look up the Laptop Elf Project on Facebook, you can contact me there. You can leave a message on it. You can just post it, put a post on there. So the Laptop Elf Project on Facebook.
It's so cool. I'm so glad you do that. That's really great.
Thank you, Leo.
Yeah.
And we all of us in the tech community really appreciate you and your fellow podcasters for all the great help and information you provide us every week.
It's gotten to be a pretty good environment now. You used to have to go to a user group, right? You have to find one in your neighborhood and go. Now there's plenty of information. YouTube is loaded with information. Lots of ways to get that information.
My first personal computer was an Osborne 1 gray case.
Oh, I love those.
Back a few years.
Oh, I wanted an Osborne so bad.
Yeah, came with a 2-inch thick manual, and that was that was your tech help, right? That was it.
Yeah. They don't come. They come with a 2-inch diagonal pamphlet now.
Right. Go to this website.
Yeah, you figure it out.
And for the better, I got to say, and for the better, you can find any answer you need for tech question on the web.
Well, thank you for doing what you do. I'm so glad to hear from you. We haven't talked in a while. Laptop Elf, the Laptop Elf Project on Facebook. And you're in the Redondo Beach area, so I imagine it's mostly people in your area that you help. But I think that's fantastic. I really do.
Thank you, Leo.
Thank you for the work you do. More importantly, thank you, David. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. 8888 Ask Leo. A little bit later, in about 15 minutes, let's talk photography, digital photography, with our photo sensei, Chris Marquardt. Meanwhile, more of your calls coming up right after this. Please, Mr. Werewolf. Please, Leo Laporte, the tech guy. What do you think, Dr. Laura? Is Halloween music better than Christmas music, or is Christmas music better than Halloween? Christmas is better. There's certainly more variety. Halloween music tends to be kind of old, maybe. But so does Christmas music, come to think of it. 88, I don't know. Deep, we cover deep philosophic questions like that on the show. 8888 Ask Leo is the phone number. Mike is next on the line from Gardnerville, Nevada. Hello, Mike.
Hello, Leo. Good to hear you.
Good to talk to you. Thanks for calling.
First, I've been listening to you for years. I just wanted to tell you that in 2007, I started up with Twitter because you guys kept talking about it. So
2007, wow.
Yeah. So I tried. I didn't know what to do with it at first. So my name is TwitFan, and it has nothing to do with Twitter. I use that name is because This Week in Tech I did that. So
thank you.
That confirms what you were talking about being the chief twit. So
Elon has decided. I don't know. He thought it was funny, I guess, to call himself Chief Twit. But I've been the Chief Twit since at least 2007. It's on my business cards, for crying out loud. So, but there's nothing what am I going to do? It's Elon gets to do whatever he wants. That's part of the problem, I guess. Yes. I'm seeing your Twitter, Mike. That's great. Thank you.
Yeah. And I describe myself as the geezer geek. So I'm always the one that has to help everybody with their technology.
Nice.
And I love it when they say, I don't know my password. And I go, well, neither do I.
Join the club.
It is so frustrating. It's unbelievable. So the question I've got is that recently I ported my number over from Spectrum to another carrier. And so after I did that, I started getting notifications from a couple of card companies saying that your number has been disconnected. You need to update your information.
Oh.
And what I'm asking is it common that they do that? I've Googled the issue. And
that's news to me. So the FCC mandates something they call number portability, that when you have a phone number and you decide to change companies, you can take that number with you. That, I think, is a really enlightened position. Your phone number, you don't want to change it. That's how people get a hold of you. And so it's really great that they say you can move your phone number around. Now, of course, who doesn't like this? The phone companies. Because they want everything they do everything they can to lock you in, to keep you from moving to a competitor. It's against their business interests. This is a really good example, by the way, of how we have some mismatched priorities, I think, in the world. The way we've set it up in business and corporate is our job in a corporation is to maximize value for stakeholders, to make the most money possible. Unfortunately, that very often means to not do right by our customers. I think in the long term, you'd be better to do right by your customers, but the stock market doesn't reward long term. It rewards quarterly results. So companies are strongly incentivized to make money at the expense of customers, customer service, quality, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. We as a society, I think, and this is, as whether you love or hate government, this is the role of government as a reflection of our desires as society. it's government's job to say, no, wait a minute. Yeah, I understand. You want to make money. You'd like to lock customers in, but customers really should be able to move their phone numbers. There is a little gap between what the companies want to do and what the government requires, however, and you've fallen into that gap. Because companies don't want portability, right? So they'll drag their feet. They'll do it as slowly as possible. And I think what happened to you is that Spectrum, not wanting to lose you, they gave the number to the new company, but maybe disconnected your phone a little early. And so those banks and whatever got bad numbers, wrong numbers. Sorry, no number at this, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. It's also possible that these banks weren't using a normal phone system to send the text messages. Very often they use software-based systems like Twilio to send. Is it for SMS, things like that, the two-factor authentication?
No, what this was about is that the number got ported just fine. I had no problems. What happened is when I log into a couple of accounts, there's telling me that your number has been disconnected, been reported by your carrier.
Oh, thank you, Spectrum. Aren't you a wonderful company?
Exactly.
So that's Spectrum. That's that gap between what they're legally required to do and what they really want to do. And they want to make it as bad an experience as possible. And they did.
I was a little angry. I was really angry.
Rightly so.
Yeah. So I called them and I filed a complaint.
Good.
So they didn't return their call. They turned their call. So they pursued a passive-aggressive move. They called me at 5:30 in the morning.
Oh, my God. They really are nasty. That is so nasty.
Yeah, it was unbelievable. And I said, well, you're probably from back east. Oh, no, I'm from Arizona. So
she knew it was early in the morning.
Yes, exactly. So I just am unbelievable. And I would, unfortunately, internet-wise, Spectrum is the only game in town here.
Yeah.
So there's no other choice.
There's another example. The telecom companies spend lots of money lobbying the FCC and the government to get them to do things that are good for business but bad for us. And that's one of them, this regional monopoly that these companies have. Well, I'm sorry you fell into that crack. I think it sounds like you fixed it, but shame on Spectrum, really. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Chris Marquardt coming up. Yeah, that was so, just like passive aggressive, wasn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
It's
so the other question I wanted to ask about these MVNOs or whatever they're called, do they get full access to it, or they just get part of their network? You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. So they get full access, but the rules are a little different. So, for instance, if you're an MVNO, a mobile virtual network operator, and you buy carriage from T-Mobile in their deal with you, and you won't necessarily know this as a customer, but in their deal with the MVNO will say, if, for instance, if a cell site is congested, our customers take priority over yours.
Okay.
That rarely comes up, right?
Yeah. But see, what's really weird, our area, they've been complaining about cell service with Verizon and with AT&T. And T-Mobile is no question. It's horrible here. And so I decided to go from Spectrum since I'm older, so I went to Consumer Cellular.
Good. Yeah, because they have a senior thing. Yeah.
It was a really good deal.
Good.
And the thing is, it's using AT&T, and reception has been absolutely beautiful. No problem. But then I've been reading locally on that neighborhood app or whatever it's called, Next Door, I think it's called.
Yeah.
And they're saying that people have a horrible time with AT&T. And what I'm trying to say...
Oh, isn't that funny? You got a better experience with Consumer Cellular than those AT&T people.
Yeah, exactly.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah, so I was just wondering how that was all defined. I've Googled these things, even about the privacy thing as well. And, you have to Google things just right to get answers, and I'm not always good at that.
Yeah. Well, I like it when you call me. That's good.
Yeah. So I just wanted to report all that. And, Leo, you guys do a wonderful job. That call before you, the gentleman helping with...
Isn't that great? I love him.
I love hearing stories like that. that people reach out and help each other. It's just plain awesome. So you take care, and I agree with everybody. You're an awesome individual, and you take care of yourself, okay?
Thank you. I appreciate it. You too.
Okay.
I love your Twitter, by the way. You and I see eye to eye. I'll just say that much.
It isn't saying much of anything. I have too much political stuff on there now because I didn't know what to do with it. So I have
That's a good thing. That's a good thing.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with that.
And so I used a 4-letter word yesterday on it, and guess what? I wasn't blocked. So Elon has changed the whole thing there.
That's interesting. Yeah. We'll see what happens. Yeah, we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
A pleasure, Mike.
Okay,
Thanks. I'll be following you on the Twitter.
Okay.
All right. Take care. The Tech Guy podcast is brought to you by 8 Sleep. Oh, did I have a good night's sleep last night? It's funny, Lisa. Okay, I'm going to tell a little tale on Lisa. Lisa likes to get up. She gets up pretty early. She likes to get up 6 a.m. We have a little gym. She works out. She has her coffee, reads the paper, that kind of thing. She likes a little quiet time in the morning. This morning, I'm up. I think I got up at 8, getting coffee stuff. She shows up like 9:30. I said, Lisa, where have you been? She said, well, I was going to get up at 7. It's her day off. She should get up as late as she wants. But I turned up my 8 sleep a little bit to get it more cozy, went back to sleep, woke up at 8, turned up my 8 sleep a little bit more, get it cozy, went back to sleep. But you know what? I said, Lisa, I'm so glad you did that. You needed that great sleep. And that's what we love about our 8 Sleep. 8 Sleep is a company that they make 2 different things. They make a mattress or a mattress cover. We have the mattress cover. They call it the Pod cover. We have the original Pod Pro 2. The Pod Pro 3 is out. I'll talk about that in a second. So 8 Sleep is the only sleep technology. You put it on your mattress that dynamically, and get this is very cool, cools and heats each side of the bed. So she's got her settings. I've got mine settings. It's not just like an electric blanket. It cools you as low as 55 degrees or as high as 110 degrees and anywhere in between. Furthermore, they've got this great Sleep Doctor AI thing that's watching you toss and turn, watching how you sleep, and adjusting the temperature appropriately. Because it turns out, and I didn't know this, it turns out that when you get in bed, you want it to be cozy and comfy. But as you go into deep sleep, the most important sleep, the sleep that's clearing out the garbage in your brain, and that's literally doing that, your body wants it to be cooler. As the temperature goes down, you go into deeper sleep. It's biology, I guess. And so the 8 Sleep notices this, and then mine starts warm, cools down, stays, not cold, but in the summer we had it cold. By the way, it's great for a hot summer because you sleep cool. The worst thing in the world, wake up hot, right? And it's great for as winter comes and it's getting chilly. I notice we've been dialing it up. It's nice. It's so cozy. And it's a very soft, comfortable, wonderful heat. Look, everybody knows good sleep is nature's gentle nurse. It's one of the most important things in good health. You eat right, you exercise, but do you get a good night's sleep? 30% of Americans say they struggle with sleep, and the number one problem, a hot bed, feeling hot, sweaty at night. If you've ever woke up and you're sweaty, that's the kiss of death for sleep, right? There's evidence that good sleep can reduce the likelihood of Alzheimer's, heart disease. It can lower your blood pressure, but most importantly, you'll know you had a good night's sleep. You'll feel great. I feel great. I bet you Lisa feels great too, right? Clinical data shows 8 Sleep users experience up to 19% increase in recovery, up to 32% improvement in sleep quality. And this is the one to me that makes most important. 34% more deep sleep. And I notice this because you get the sleep statistics when you wake up. And I get it, by the way, from a lot of things. Not just the 8 Sleep, my watch, my everything. I've got so many sleep things. But all of them agree. You're getting another half hour to an hour of deep sleep. That is more than just state of mind. That is, for your health, very important. For physical recovery, for hormone regulation, mental clarity. We have the Pod 2. They just launched the new Pod 3, which You can get a mattress. We loved our mattress, so we just put the cover over it. You get to choose. But the Pod 3 enables more accurate sleep and health tracking because they've doubled the amount of sensors. So that's that sleep doctor where it's watching your heart rate, your movement, your temperature. It even monitors the temperature in the room. So it adjusts the temperature as the night goes by and even can adjust your overall settings. It's not magic. It feels like it. And I have to say, we were away from the house. We went to Las Vegas last week, and I missed it so much. It's like, I need my 8 Sleep. Go to 8Sleep, EIGHTSLEEP.com/twit, 8sleep.com/twit. You'll be sleeping cozy this winter, and you'll save $150 at checkout on the pod. 8Sleep currently ships in the U.S., Canada, the UK, select countries in the EU, Australia too. You're heading into a hot summer, Australia. You want the 8Sleep to sleep cool this summer, while we in the Northern Hemisphere sleep toasty this winter. 8sleep.com/twit. I cannot recommend it more highly. It's wonderful. Thank you, 8Sleep. Now back to the show. It is time for the French podcaster and the German photographer to cross the Maginot Line and say hello to Chris Marquardt. You see, I have...
Bonjour, Monsieur Laporte.
Bonjour, comment ça va? Baguette and café au lait to you all. Chris is our sensei, our photo sensei at sensei.photo. Joins us every week to talk about digital photography. I think I asked you this. You know, I saw the tragedy in South Korea was at a Halloween party. And I guess Halloween is a global phenomenon now. It used to be, I feel like it used to be Catholic countries were celebrating All Hallows Eve. U.S. turned it into trick or treat, and now it's everywhere.
We have something along the same lines, which is called Erntedank, which is thanking for the harvest. Thank you for the harvest kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I think, I'm not even sure how they are related, but they happen around the same time. And so I would guess there is some connection there.
Yeah.
But
we all have to celebrate
from the
days getting shorter, the harvest coming in. It's a way of preparing for the cold days of winter. Yes?
I think so.
Yeah. And it's spooky season.
Well, of course. I mean, there's plenty of carved pumpkins over here. There's people dressing up and so on and so on. So there's trick or treaters around. So I thought we'd talk about spooky photography and a few ways of making things spooky in photography. So I've brought a few examples. The first thing, of course, is always what is in the photo. And by the way, this is possible with all sorts of cameras. What is the content of the photo? In this case, it's looks like an old building with pointy roofs and old lanterns out there. So that fits in the spooky mood, and it's a silhouette, and that makes it interesting because when you take the exposure down on something that has a bright background, you can create this stylized silhouette, the black outline in front of a brighter background. In this case, it's the sky that has clouds in it, so you end up getting nice detail in the clouds, and that makes it a bit spooky. Silhouettes or silhouettes of ordinary things. This is a roller coaster, and the silhouette of it makes it weird and different than you would usually see.
Isn't that funny? Because, I mean, if you made that in color with plenty of light, it would just be a roller coaster. But the silhouette is kind of...
Well, the silhouette and the lack of people, there's something unusual about this roller coaster, and that will play with your subconscious and give you a bit of a creepy feeling. So that's the first one. In general, making things monochrome is a good idea. And if you want to color things, if you want to throw in some color, then in this case, we're looking at a path through the forest, and it's all in blue light. And the blue light gives it some coldness, some cool feeling, and that might enhance a bit of the spookiness. So colors. Here's a picture of a tree, and the photographer put a bit of a green tint on it, and that again green, blue, those colors. You will think that make it red and it's all spooky, but the green and blue makes it cool and frosty.
It's chilly.
You know?
Yeah.
Yes. So that works really well. Light is, of course, also a good tool to make something spooky. What we're looking at here is some warehouse with windows and a light coming in from the outside. That's something you could do at home. You could set up a camera in your living room with a tripod to turn off all the lights, and then go outside with a long exposure and shine in the flashlight, and you would get something interesting looking and something spooky looking. And that, of course, works with different kinds of lights. We're looking at a forest scene here, misty forest, and the light coming at you and making this my favorite light, volumetric light that has a body that you can almost feel.
See, this could be spooky, but it also could be the dawn of a new day. This could be very uplifting.
It depends on what mindset you're in.
Yeah.
I mean, if you show a picture like this on a day like this, then there's a good chance that people will assume it's a spooky scene.
Yes, that's true.
If you show it and you put some nice cheery morning music behind it, then it's a nice morning picture. So it really depends.
That's an interesting conundrum for photographers, is that how people perceive your photos may well depend more on the environment they're perceiving it in than what you intended.
You never know what context your photo is going to be looked at in. You will never know that context.
You don't control
so the context is very important. Context is important. Make it unusual.
That's creepy.
Unusual can be spooky. This is creepy, right? Where we're looking at a brick building, a brownstone building, and a kid with a big Easter bunny head on. It's just weird. It's really weird.
That's definitely creepy. You win on the creepy on that one.
And then, of course, there's ghosts. Take pictures of ghosts. Easy to do. You can do, if your camera can do multiple exposures, or if you have an app on your phone that can do multiple exposures, that's what you get. You get ghosts. Or if you do a long exposure and move the camera around, then in this case, the light source, the windows in the left, look like ghosts going through a dark attic of sorts. So that is pretty cool. And then the last thing that I find creepy have you heard of liminal spaces?
Yeah, but I'm not sure what it means. What is liminal?
So a liminal space is a space it's called a space of transition, a space where people don't stay, where they move through, like a corridor, like a pathway of something. And those liminal spaces, look it up, there's plenty of examples out there. Those liminal spaces photographed without any people in them, there's something creepy about them. There is something weird and creepy about them. So liminal spaces, very creepy. Ooh.
Yeah. You are not creepy. You are my photo sensei. You are my sunshine, my only sunshine. And
there you go.
You have just given us some great ideas for taking pictures for our photo assignment for this month, because our word of the month is
mysterious.
Mysterious. So this would be actually today and tonight and tomorrow would be a great time to get out there and take some mysterious photos. Although you could use these tricks that Chris was talking about to take a photo of almost anything and make it mysterious. If you find one you like, and it doesn't matter if you've got a fancy camera or you're doing it with your smartphone, you could be using an Instamatic, a Brownie if you want. We don't care, but if you find one you like, you do have to get it digital so that you can upload it to flickr.com. That's a wonderful free photo sharing site. We have a group there, the Tech Guy group. You'll know you're in the right place. 13,000 people in that group. It's a big group. And if you've got a picture you like, tag it, upload it to Flickr, tag it TG Mysterious, and then submit it to the Tech Guy group. Renee Silverman, our moderator, will note that it's for the assignment, add it to the assignment pool. And maybe next week, Chris, we can, or the week after, we're going to go.
I think next week, maybe next week or the week after, we'll figure this out.
In the next couple of weeks,
yes,
you will go through all of the submissions, pick 3 to talk about, and do it on the show. And that's the only reward and prize. The real reward and prize is you're getting out there and taking pictures and enjoying the beautiful world all around you. Seeing it, it's really about seeing stuff you see every single day with a fresh eye. And I love that about photography.
And with a spooky eye, that is certainly that certainly makes things interesting.
Are you trick or treating tomorrow night? Do they do that in Germany?
They do. They do. We have some sweets ready for the kids.
Do you? Little bowl of candy? What kind of candy?
Yeah.
Is it
the usual suspects? Nothing weird or some American stuff in there, I guess.
No, there's some good candy for Kinder in Germany. I think we want some of that. Thank you, Chris. Sensei.photo. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. I got, where did I get that? Oh, a listener who's in Germany sent me some hardware that he had made. I can't remember what it was. Oh, it was that. I know what it was. It was a really cute Raspberry Pi case that looked like a Mac 2FX. And he threw in a bunch of German candy. And it was great because Michael, who is a Germanophile, he gets Der Fenster, the German magazine. He studies German. I said, here, look, German candy, just for you. And he was very excited. It's good candy. It's good candy. Much better than the Three Musketeers.
You know why I stumbled? Because we don't have any candy here usually. It's the only day of the year that we have candy.
I agree. Unfortunately, Lisa and Michael both have sweet tooth. So there's candy everywhere. Every day I walk by the little thing of candy corn in the Halloween time.
No.
And it's really hard not to just go, just one. Mm-hmm. One more.
Yeah, no. So I wouldn't even know.
You didn't know. There's
not up to speed on that.
There's a whole category of German candy that's quite good. Anyway, it's best you not know. Pretend you never heard this. Thank you, Chris. Have a great week. We'll see you next week. Yes?
Yes,
we'll count on it. Thank you.
See you then.
Take care. Bye-bye. Just looking at our Mastodon server, which is getting, it's fun. It's getting a lot busier all of a sudden as people move over from Twitter. I'm thrilled about that. Twit.social, open to all, although there are a lot of spammers, as you might expect. So when you were asked, I have to prove everybody who joins, and when you're asked, why do you want to join, just mention the tech guy, and I will then go, oh, yes, this is not a spammer. This is a real person. So, and if you do spam, I kick them off. So we're pretty good about, there's not a lot of junk in these Mastodon feeds. Mastodon is what they call a federated version of Twitter, where you have a local server, in this case Twit Social, but there are many local servers, and you can follow anybody on any of the local servers. I'm Leo at twit.social is my full profile. So you can follow me from any Mastodon. A haunted house. Doesn't sound that scary, to be honest. Leo Laporte, the tech guy, 8888 Ask Leo, the phone number. We're taking your calls and talking high tech. And let's move on to Scott. He's on the line from Long Beach. Hi, Scott.
Hi, thanks for taking my call, Leo. I appreciate it.
Thank you for calling. Welcome.
I have an Android, and if I decide to load an app, it replaces my dialer, my contacts app. It starts running in the background. It launches new function, and it's just like a spider. It gets into everything.
That is not good behavior. I would say that is malware. What's the name of the app?
Well, for instance, if you load Telegram, it will take over your contacts.
Oh, okay. So that's not taking over. But this is a really important point. I'm glad you brought this up. Telegram, like many, many, many apps, says in a seemingly friendly fashion, hey, I would like to be able to access your contacts so when somebody you know joins Telegram, I can let you know, and I can let you know all of the people you know who are currently on Telegram and add them so that way Telegram can be useful to follow people you know. On the face of it, that's a convenience. They're not taking over your contacts in this. They're asking for the permissions because they're required to by Android to read and write, but they're just really reading it. They're not going to modify your contacts. That's an important point. But there is an issue with this because you're essentially doxing everybody you know. So I have in my contacts, for instance, some very well-known people and their very private email addresses and phone numbers. I'm looking at you, Elon. If I say to Telegram, yeah, go ahead, take a look at my contacts, I am now sending my entire contact list to Telegram. And in most cases, they're storing it on their server, which means I'm giving up information about people I know. I am as a third party giving information. I wish people paid attention to this. It's why your email address, your phone number, and all this stuff becomes so public, because people are doing this all the time. So you're right to say, wait a minute, whoa, you're asking me for my contacts. They're not doing it because they want to take over your contacts. They're doing it ostensibly so that they can provide a service saying, and by the way, Telegram does do this. Oh, your friend Scott just joined Telegram. Send him a message. But whenever possible, I strongly recommend you do not agree to that. It'll still work just fine. You won't be bombarded with messages about your contacts joining a service. You'll have to manually find your contacts on that service. It's not going to do it automatically. But you're most importantly not giving up the personal information of your friends and family to a third party. So that's a very important question you're asking. You're right.
Yeah, I find that if you don't give it location, if you don't give it certain access, that it won't give you the basic functionality that you're seeking.
In some cases that's true. For instance, if you had a map app and you said, no, you can't have location, well, that's not going to be a lot of good. So in some cases, and some of this is obscured by the fact that the permissions, the way they're phrased on iOS and Android, the permission they have to ask for sounds like maybe they're asking for more than they really want. For instance, it's very common, Telegram is one of them, where when you're signing in, you say, okay, I'm signing in, and they'll say, good, we're going to send you a text message. And then that text message pops up in Telegram, and it says, yes, it's you, and logs you in. In order to do that, they have to ask permission to send and read your text messages. So in theory, they have the permission to send messages all the time. They don't do that, but that's the way Android permissions are structured. They have to ask for the full permission. So it is important when you're putting an application on your phone to really only get it from trustworthy, reliable sources. Telegram's fine. The location thing is more problematic because, honestly, any app you put on your phone is suddenly a form of spyware, isn't it? And if the app says, I want to know where you are at all times, and there's no good reason for an app to do that, Telegram doesn't need to know where you are, then the reason they're asking for it is so that they can collate that information and sell it to marketers. So you don't want that. If the functionality of the app, Telegram doesn't need it should function perfectly fine, as an example, without location permissions. If it doesn't work without location permissions, dump it. They're malicious. Sometimes, though, it asks for location permissions. For instance, Google will ask for location permissions so that it can do, when you do a search for pizza, it can show you local pizzerias. Most cases, you can say no to these, and the functionality will be limited, but not completely destroyed. If you find an app that won't work when it's asking for permissions you absolutely do not want to give it, your only recourse is not to use the app. It's really important to understand people want to get an app on your phone because that phone contains so much information about you. And oftentimes, these apps monetize, especially free apps like Telegram, are monetizing by selling that information on to marketers. So that's a very good point. And it depends on how private you want to be. And Telegram, I don't care what it knows. I won't dox my friends, though, to Telegram. I don't send them my contact information.
May I ask you another question?
Yeah.
There's a term called the fenced garden. Are you familiar with that?
No, I've not heard that. What is I know the walled garden. What's a fenced garden?
Yeah, I think it's probably the same thing.
Okay.
Where, if you have an apple, you're kind of in the apple world.
Yeah, you're in the walled garden.
Yeah. You can't go outside.
Yeah. It's like living in a development with a gated community. It has its pros and cons. The pros are you're a little safer. The cons are Apple owns you. You get to decide what you want. Unfortunately, increasingly, there's nowhere to turn, right? There are very few choices if you don't want to be owned by whoever makes your phone. Sigh. It's either Google or Apple. Take your pick. And if you buy a Samsung, it's Google and Samsung.
Thanks for your help.
Yeah, you're right to ask these questions. I'm really glad you're thinking about this. Absolutely should be. We all should be, Scott. It's important to understand that if it's a reputable company like Telegram, like WhatsApp, and reputable, I put in air quotes because it's a sliding scale. But if it's a relatively reputable company, a big name company, they're not going to want to do the reputation damage, the hit that they would take if they, for instance, if Telegram asks for permission to read and write your text messages because it wants to use that to authenticate you. You could pretty well say, well, I doubt very much they're then going to start sending out text messages on my account to promote Vladimir Putin's invasion of Ukraine. If they do that, their reputational damage, because it will be discovered. Even if they send it, delete it, and you don't see it, somebody's going to notice. There's a lot of people worried about privacy. Some expert will say, hey, you know, Telegram is sending, they're not. But if this were to happen, they would be saying, Telegram's been sending out this stuff. And you would know, it would be in the news, I would talk about it, and they would suffer huge reputational damage, and ultimately it would put them out of business, I think. So if it's an unknown app from an unknown name that there is no cost to their reputation for doing that, that's when buyer beware. Do not download apps that you don't know the company, you don't know the app, you've not heard of them before. You've got to be very careful on both Android and iOS because it does happen all the time. Android just had to quash 16 different apps that were doing ad fraud behind your back. It wasn't malware, but, well, it was in the sense that you didn't install it. Adware behind your back. And there were apps like, you know, map apps, stuff that you might reasonably want. I think they had huge millions and millions of downloads because people thought they were real. Don't go out and search the App Store and download something from some no-name company. That is a recipe for disaster. Stick with the big names. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Well, hey, how are you today? Leo Laporte here, the tech guy. Time to talk computers, the internet, home theater, digital photography, smartphones, smart watches, you know, all that jazz. 8888 ask. Leo's the phone number, 888-827-5536. Toll free from anywhere in the U.S. or Canada. Outside that area, you could still call 8888 ask Leo. Just use your Skype out or something like that. And the QR code. That's what the QR code down there on if you're watching the video. Yeah, we have video of a radio show. That's a concept. The QR code is down in the lower right hand corner. My left, your right. And by the way, that's an interesting story and perhaps a cautionary tale. Perhaps you are tempted when you want to put some information maybe in your ad or on your business card and you want to do a QR code. You're perhaps tempted by the many, many websites that offer free QR code generators. You know, QR codes are those funny little weird square things that look like just a bunch of noise, but if you point your camera phone at it, it gives you a URL or information or whatever. I thought when they first started, people started doing this, I thought, well, this isn't going to last. This is a terrible idea, but now it's more than lasted. More than lasted. So if you have an iPhone or an Android phone and you port the camera at our QR code, it will pop up the phone number, right? Okay. But be careful, beware, because when we first did this, John, our studio manager, went to one of those free websites, right? And got the QR code there. Beware, because those free website QR codes redirect you. They don't give you, like the one I made here, and I'll tell you how you could do this easily. The one I've made here just pops up the phone number, that's all. And if you're on an iPhone, you click it, it will dial the number, and et cetera, et cetera. And sort of that was the behavior of the one he got from the free website, except not really, because it would send a link through the website. Which means, of course, they were tracking every single person who scanned the QR code and used it. Every single one. And, well, we didn't want to participate in that. And you probably don't either. So if you make a QR code for your business card or your business or, or your radio show, don't go through those free websites. There is software you can pay for that'll generate a QR code. But here's a little thing I found out. This is easy on a Mac. There are free Python programs that will generate really pure, no tracking QR codes. That's what we did for free. So on a Mac, I used software called Homebrew, brew.sh, which is a great way to install command line apps on the Mac, and installed this Python QR code generator, typed in the phone number. It created a little PNG, a graphics image file, that I then gave John, and he put it up on the video. It's free. It's no tracking. You're in total control of it, and it's easy to do. Now, if you're on Windows, it's a little more complicated because Windows doesn't come with Python. There's more stuff to install and so forth. Actually, Apple no longer comes. They used to come with Python, doesn't anymore. So maybe it's a little more complicated than it used to be on Windows. I'm hoping that, Microsoft's doing Homebrew, which is a third-party app for Mac and Linux, is what we call a package manager. You can use it to install software, both graphical software. I use it to install Firefox, for instance, and command line software. Its website is brew.sh, and most Mac users, most enthusiasts, techie Mac users will install it and have it. There hasn't been anything quite like that for Windows, but Microsoft, seeing the advantage of a package manager, has started work on one called Winget, and it's from Microsoft, and it's a little limited right now, but in the long run, I think Winget is going to make a lot of things like this, for instance, much easier on Windows. It's for the hardcore right now, enthusiasts, techie people. But I think in the long run, it's going to be good. If you Google Winget, you will find a Microsoft page explaining how to use it and how to install it and so forth. It's a little command liney still. I think, though, they have a graphic. Yeah, they might have a graphic interface for it. And it's limited in the things it can install. I don't know if it can yet install a QR code creator like the Mac can. Just a tip, though. Be careful. There are apps, and I think they are reliable on both Windows and Mac paid apps that will let you generate QR codes. But always check to see, is that QR code really doing what I think it is, or is it one more way to spy on people? There's such a brisk economy now. There's so much pressure these days to gather information about people and sell it on. And maybe you don't care. I don't really, honestly. I believe you have the right to privacy. I'm a privacy advocate, but I don't necessarily pursue some of these really extreme measures to protect my privacy, because you have to be kind of extreme. But I understand somebody wanting to do that. And it's getting worse and worse. There's a book by a woman named Shoshana Zuboff. Took many years to write it. Really put a lot of effort and thought into it, called Surveillance Capitalism. And her point is, this is how companies work these days. They work by surveilling you, and it's not just big tech. Don't go say, well, if it's Google and Facebook and Apple and Microsoft, and no, it's every company. Every company that has the means is going to do this. You might not know, but there was a great article some years ago. I'll see if I can find it. I'll put it in the show notes. By a woman who said, Target knew I was pregnant before I told anyone else, before I told my family, because Target, the drugstore, was monitoring what I was buying and knew. It could tell based on what it was buying. And it was not some human looking at it. It was a machine saying, well, when people buy this, that, and the other, they're probably pregnant. So that's a huge invasion of privacy. How did she know? Because she started getting offers, right? In the mail and online. Hey, you might want to be looking at our special deal on Pampers. How do they know? All they had to do is watch what you're doing in the store. So it's not just big tech, believe me. They are using technology to do it. I will grant you that. 8888 Ask Leo, the phone number. Alan is on the line from North Hollywood. Hello, Alan.
Hello, Leo. I have a problem. I lost my car fob.
Oh, no. And have you priced a replacement?
$250 to replace it, and there's a reprogramming. There's a
Isn't it appalling? Isn't that appalling?
Yes, it is. It approximates the cost of the car almost. No.
Well, it's not that bad. But yeah, no, I know that. And that's these modern car fobs. And there are third-party places you can go to get them cheaper. I've never done this because I don't know. And the worst thing in the world would be I know this happened to me the other day, be standing outside of your car and not able to drive it because the car fob didn't work.
Well, luckily we have two of them, but I was thinking about it. When I go near the car, the proximity to the front door, the door lights up. It's a Hyundai, a 2017 Hyundai. And when I go near it with the fob, when I had the fob, it lights up. And it occurred to me that that the car reacts to the proximity of the fob. So I was wondering, is there any device that you can use or an app or something on the phone, although I doubt that they're on the same frequency, but something or some trick like that to find the approximate location of the fob, say in the house, if it's behind a piece of furniture or outside, something like that.
So you don't lose it again because it's so expensive. Well, look what I have my fob attached to. Now, this is only good if you have an iPhone. I have it attached to Apple's AirTag. And the nice thing about the AirTag is it does exactly what you're talking about. It's a Bluetooth key finder. Now, there are other companies that make similar devices. The AirTag works the best because it uses every iPhone, and there's so many iPhones in the world. It works quite well. It also uses an iPhone chip called the UWB chip, the ultra wideband chip, to do location within the house. So you can actually aim your phone. If it fell beneath the cushion, you can have it beep. You can have the general location, but then you can aim your phone, and the phone goes hot, cold, warmer, cold, hot, and gets you to the device. So AirTags work quite well. Pyle is another company that makes these. There are quite a few. If you search for Bluetooth trackers, there are quite a few. And you can see, if you're looking at the video, I have my fob and I have my AirTag on the fob because I don't want to lose this. Ford charges me more than $400 for this.
Well, I was wondering, since it has a native frequency that it's obviously putting out.
Oh, I see. You were thinking maybe there'd be something that could sense it.
Sense it, short of taking my car door off and running the house.
Yeah, because your car senses it. That's also Bluetooth it's using. Well, let me think about this. There certainly, in fact, this is one of the problems with these key fobs. Until recently, many of these key fobs the signal was unencrypted. And so you could buy for about $30 on eBay a little amplifier that would, so I'm sitting in my office, my car is out in the parking lot. I'm too far from my car right now to open the door and get in and drive off. But this amplifier, if a bad guy had one, he could stand next to my car. It would be strong enough to get my signal, amplify it. The car would think I'm standing right next to it. So I'm sorry, it's not Bluetooth. Greg Bilton, and I think he's probably right, says it's radio frequency. It's RF, not Bluetooth. Not sure how it works exactly, but there are amplifiers that will do that. I don't know if that's going to give you what you want because it's not exactly beeping.
No, but something like, on that basis that is not amplifying the signal, but just sensing the signal.
That's a clever idea.
The car door.
Yeah, that's a clever idea.
And I mean, the technology is in the door, but I can't get it out to take it around the house.
Yeah. What you want is a little box that would have the same sensor that's in the door it'd have to be more sensitive than the door, obviously, because it would have to see the key at a distance and then beep, 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 beep. I don't know of anything like that. If anybody does, let us know. Call, get in the chat room. Until then, you can always get a Bluetooth tracker, put it on your key fob. That's what I do. Roughly the same idea, right?
If I had it, I would certainly do it.
So you haven't replaced it, huh?
Not yet. No, since it's the second one, we're just sharing.
I know that drives you crazy though when you look and you find out what the cost is. Look on YouTube. They're telling me, and I'm sure this is the case, there are people on YouTube who have figured out ways to I don't know what. See, that would be another way to do this. You'd have to probably build your own. I don't know if there's anybody manufacturing these. But that would be another way to do it. You get an Arduino and a receiver and a transmitter, and you could probably build your own as long as you understand how all of this works. And there are lots of people on YouTube with videos explaining not only how it works, but how you could perhaps program your own key fob. It's an interesting idea. Somebody says, take the door off, get a 12-volt battery, carry it around the house, done. Yeah, that's exactly what you don't want to do, Alan. What an interesting question. That's a great question. I love it. I don't know, although it might be a good reason when you get your next fob to put a Bluetooth tracker on it. And furthermore, well, you see, this is going to defeat the purpose. Keep it in a Faraday cage, a little wire-enforced bag, so that bad guys can't do the relay attack and get in your car. Well, that's not a good idea.
Yeah, that's the reverse of what I want.
That's exactly the opposite. Alan, a pleasure talking to you. What a great conundrum. I don't know. Maybe somebody listening will. Keep listening. Maybe we'll have that answer. If not, we'll put it on the website, techguylabs.com. So it's interesting because Ford, when I bought my Mustang Mach-E, only gave me one fob. And I was annoyed by that. And they said, no, you use your phone as a key, right? So you set up what they call it PAC, phone as a key. I set it up on my phone. Just Friday.
Okay.
I'm down in Marin in my car, sitting in my car. It stopped working. I can't get the car started. I entered the password. I guess I misremembered it. There's a password override. Couldn't get it working. I was stuck in Marin. The car started beeping. The alarm went off. It was a nightmare. So now I carry my phone with me everywhere. And Ford, I noticed when we brought in the car for a warranty service, gave me a second fob. So I think Ford has realized that maybe this phone as key thing isn't quite working.
Yeah, my car's 20 years old.
Yeah.
I can buy a blank one for like $20.
So John says his 20-year-old Volkswagen, he could buy a blank one but who programs it?
And they can cut it for me, right?
Yeah.
And then
who programs it though?
I did.
You were able to program it?
You open the door.
Yeah.
And you push, you open, with the door open, you open the
Can you hear him, Alan?
door to open it.
So he says you can program it from the door.
Yeah, with the door open, you open the door, you pull open the door, and you press on you press the two buttons on that, then you press on the lock button, and
See, I'll show you. You have a key.
Yeah.
Actually cut into yours. This is what my key looks like. They never cut it. They don't cut it because it doesn't work. There's no keyhole. So they don't even bother to cut the key on the Ford fob.
Yeah, so it cost me like $15 to have it cut.
But that's a 20. How old's your car, Alan? Is it a recent vehicle or?
Oh, 2017 Hyundai.
Yeah, it's not going to work. But John's 20-year-old Volksy, you sure can.
Yeah.
You sure can. That's hysterical. Saved him a lot of money. So are you going to buy a new vehicle, a new fob from the dealer?
either a new fob or a new car.
One is cheaper. So I do see on eBay, a $48 version of my fob, the Ford fob, but I think it still has to be programmed by the dealer, right?
Yeah, and the dealer, I think, charges $150 to program it.
They're going to get you. You might try a locksmith. It says must be programmed by a professional automotive locksmith or dealership. It may be if you went to a locksmith. See, I would find a locksmith first and say, if I bring you a blank, could you program it for my Hyundai?
Oh, okay.
The guy said that some of them may not be reprogrammed.
Oh.
I hear your friend saying maybe it can't be.
Well, she said some of them are and some of them are not programmable.
Interesting.
She asked the locksmith about that.
Oh, good. So you've already pursued this. It is really annoying that they charge hundreds of dollars for these fobs.
I know, and they probably cost about $20 to make.
Oh, I'm sure if you can buy it for $40 on eBay. So here's a guy in our chat room that says, my friend Joe Mendoza has created a website called EternityKey.com, the last car key you will ever need. Oh, yeah, but it's still a key. See, I don't even have a keyhole in my car.
Yeah.
So this is a key. I was showing John the fob that Ford gave me. The key's not even cut. The emergency key's not even cut. It's just a blank because there's no keyhole on the thing.
Yeah, mine has a keyhole for the trunk, I think, but that's it.
Yeah. Well, this Mach-E has no holes at all. Hey, I got to run. Pleasure talking to you, Alan. I hope you find a good solution. So scary. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Somebody asked, so I was pointing out, talking to Alan about getting a replacement key fob for modern vehicles is hundreds of dollars. Another way dealers... Didn't we just have this conversation? How companies are incentivized to make money, not to serve customers. And often the two goals do not coincide. So if you were going to serve customers, you'd make sure that it was easy to get into their car and secure, et cetera, et cetera. But no, we're just here to make money. This is yet another arena in that area. Somebody, so I was pointing out that I have a Mach-E, a Ford Mach-E, which has comes with the traditional Ford key fob, which is made for all Ford vehicles. And as you may know, your key fob has a hidden spare key right in the key fob. You could pop it out in case, your key fob battery dies or something goes wrong. You can use the key. But because the Ford Mach-E has no keyhole, this is useless. In fact, they don't even bother doing anything with it. So it's a blank key. It couldn't open anything. It's not cut, even though it is in there because they didn't want to make multiple key fobs, I guess. And somebody asked the million-dollar question. What do you do? So in other words, you have to use the electronic system to get into the car. And there are a variety of ways. There's actually a number pad on the door and so forth. But what do you do if the car battery dies? And incidentally, most electric cars, I think all electric cars, have a 12-volt battery, a regular car battery, in addition to the giant lithium-ion battery that powers the motor. And so the key and all that stuff powered by the 12-volt. What if you do if the 12-volt dies? Well, it turns out you can't get into your car if the 12-volt dies, but there is a hidden spot where you could put electrodes, the jump start your 12-volt. There's a hidden spot you could do that just for getting into the car. Because obviously, if you can't get into the car, you can't open the trunk to get to the battery. So there is a spot on the external chassis that you can hook up, a charger cables, so that you can get in the car, so that you can then start the car. Crazy. It's crazy. What a world we live in. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Rod Pyle, spaceman extraordinaire, just around the corner. Oh, no. And I believe Rod has been captured by aliens. What will we do?
Oh.
What will we do?
We're going to talk UFOs today.
Yeah. I saw
Your
that.
favorite subject. Yeah. Oh,
that is a great, I want to say mask, but maybe it's not.
Hey, that's not very Yeah. I got that in Hollywood when they still had very
awesome.
expensive magic shops and things like that.
Oh, I love that stuff.
Fun prop, yeah.
Let me see if I can find my, I have something similar. Let me see if I can.
Well, I didn't have it out until I saw your mustache and your groovy beret.
I have so many
oh, man, I
things
gotta. Yeah.
This world. Oh, yeah, there it is.
Uh-oh.
Here it is. I'll have to take off my beret, put it on.
Oh, this is going to be fun.
Our show today brought to you by Mimo. You know the name, right? Mimo monitors. They do those great little USB 7-inch and bigger monitors you can attach to your computer. They are also the global experts in video conferencing solutions. In fact, I think a lot of people use their Mimo monitor for video conferencing. Well, I got something for you. Some software Mimo makes. No matter how you work, whether you're in the office, at home, in your hybrid, you want to get Unify Meeting. This is the software. It works with Zoom, Teams, and Google Meet. So one of the problems I have is, and I bet you do too, we meet with people on a variety of different platforms. Everybody's got something else. We in-house use Meet. Our hosts, we use Zoom. Premiere uses Teams. So, and the buttons are in different places. The way it works is different. And I always get confused and I always hang up by accident because I think I'm unmuting, things like that. Unify Meeting solves this. It's one user interface that's universal to all three. A very intuitive software solution simplifies your work life, combining all your favorite video conferencing solutions into one reliable, universal interface, which eliminates the hassle, saves you time. All the buttons are in the same place. All of the commands are the same. It's really kind of brilliant. You can navigate between your meetings easily. And what's cool, when you're not in a meeting, Unify Meeting goes into your calendar. So it has your calendar and it has your meetings, and all you have to do in this little window, click the meeting, and it knows what software that meeting's in, and it starts the same Unify interface and logs you in your meeting. Couldn't be more simple. No more manual. You've got to, what conference software we're using? Do I have to update? Blah, 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 all this stuff. Now, the best way to use Unify Meeting, if I might say, is on a second or third monitor, because then it doesn't take up any desktop real estate. You've just got, basically, when you're not in a meeting, get one of these Mimo 7-inch monitors, right? Plug it in. Now your Unify Meeting's on there. That's your calendar monitor. And then when you want to join a meeting, you click it. Unify Meeting launches in the little monitor. And if you're on Zoom, the Zoom interface opens up in the big monitor, or Google Meet, or Teams. So you have the full interface on the big monitor, but you've got your call on the little monitor. This is really a refinement for anybody who does a lot of meeting in your job, and I bet you do. This is such a great refinement. It makes those meetings so much easier, so much better. Unify Meeting, it runs on Windows. It's PC compatible. It's $35.88 for a whole year, but if you buy a Mimo monitor, that little 7-inch monitor, it's free. It comes with the monitor. Okay, so you can do the software if you don't want to get the monitor, but I would suggest the monitor. So try Unify. You could do it for yourself or your team. I think getting it for your team is a great idea. It takes a lot of the pain out of all these video conferences. UNIFYMEETING.com. Video or audio, by the way. It doesn't have to be video. UnifyMeeting.com. Enter the code TechGuy. You're going to like this. 25% off a year's subscription. Or use the offer code TechGuy. 25% off any of Mimo's 7-inch displays. So, in my opinion, that's the way to go. Get the 7-inch display, you get Unify Meeting, you get 25% off, and your whole life has improved immeasurably. Simplify with Unify. That's unifymeeting.com. Unifymeeting.com. The offer code is TechGuy. Thank you, Unify Meeting, for a great solution and for supporting the Tech Guy Show. And please, I beg of you, it's so important to us with all of our advertisers that use those offer codes so they know you saw it here, right? Unifymeeting.com, offer code tech guy, you get a benefit. You get 25% off. Thank you, Unify. Now back to the show.
It sounds like you're emptying out your supply closet. Oh.
I am not an animal. This is, somebody sold this, actually.
Yeah. Oh, is this for sleeping on planes?
Yes. How did you know?
Because why else would you want to put your hands in front of your eyes? Oh, there we go.
I had it backwards.
Oh, wait a minute. Now
Here we go. Now you put your hands in here.
Yeah.
And you sleep.
Holy moly.
Wow. I am not an animal.
Well, it's good that they have a little opening in front so you can get all the viruses in your face from the tray table. That's good.
Yeah, I didn't really realize, but this makes it infinitely more useful.
Now, can you imagine actually sitting on a plane and putting that on while people...
I believe I tried it once.
Did you?
Yeah. I saw somebody in a plane that has kind of a more up-to-date version of this.
Yeah, I've seen inflatable versions of that, but I don't know.
Yeah, this is the original... What was this called? I forgot. Elephant
Face
pillow?
cocoon?
No.
Face hugger?
Ostrich pillow. That's it.
Oh. That doesn't make it any better. Right.
Let's see if I know. I am a Frenchman in my ostrich pillow. I'm still preserving. Oh, you could still buy one. Look at that.
Wow, really?
Yeah. Let me go to the website.
Because who wouldn't want one?
So now they're the ones that make, I guess, the other kinds. The new ostrich pillows. I wonder if you can get the original. Let's see. The original ostrich pillow. Now, see, they're getting close.
Might this site possibly originate in Asia somewhere?
No. This was a Kickstarter. This is one of many.
Was it?
Many things I bought on Kickstarter that never really.
You're a good customer.
I should show you my list.
Oh, I want to see the Instagram purchases.
God.
Those are my favorite.
So they had it. Somebody say I just scrolled by it. I can't see. Oh, yeah, there it is. They still make it. Son of a gun.
Wow.
Wait a minute. Let me pull it up here. Yeah.
Woo! That looks kind of arousing in a strange way. Okay.
It's time for Rod Pyle, our spaceman. He joins us every week to talk about space. He is, of course, the editor-in-chief of Ad Astra, the magazine, which is the official publication of the National Space Society at nss.org. He's also the author of many great books about space and the host of our very own space podcast. He does it with Tarek Malik of space.com. So we've got the leading experts. That, of course, is called TWIS, This Week in Space, at twit.tv/TWIS. So I guess you're the chief TWIS.
Well,
come to think of it.
Nobody's going to come poaching my moniker like they did yours. I'm a little bad about that. I bet you are
me too. Yeah, but I don't think there's anything I can do. The sad thing is we're talking about Elon Musk, who, upon his accession as the owner of Twitter, changed his profile on Twitter to say he's Chief Twit, which is the moniker I have had on my business cards for 15 years. It's what I use in a lot of my social media. But now I notice that, MSNBC called him the Chief Twit. He is now officially the Chief Twit. So I guess I'm just out of luck.
Lawyers are expensive, but it might be a contingency case. Who knows?
I talked to my wife. She says, Leo, we are not suing the richest man in the world. Thank you very much.
But think of the PR.
The upside's good. The downside, not so hot.
Downside could be disastrous, but the upside.
So the reason we are wearing alien space garb, you're wearing yours, right?
Oh, no, not yet. Here, let me put that back on. There we go.
The reason we are now both, yours is so much better than mine. I don't even have eyes on mine.
Yeah, but this was like $400. So
oh yeah, this wasn't quite that expensive. The reason we were wearing that is because there is now yet another official commission investigating. Now, do they call them UFOs?
Yeah, they're doing the unidentified aerial phenomenon.
UAPs. UAP.
Yeah.
But it's the same as a UFO. It's an unidentified flying object, which, by the way, notice in the name has nothing about aliens.
No, it just says it's unidentified, and that's the thing that we always seem to skip over. So this is NASA jumping into the fray. We've had these reports from the Air Force, Department of Defense,
Congress. Hasn't Congress even done this? Didn't Harry Reid want to do this?
Well, he tried, and they, of course, have to approve and pay for these things.
Harry Reid, the official senator of Area 51, I think, had a vested interest in this.
Or Nevada.
Yeah.
So October 25th, NASA announced they were starting this 9-month study. And they are going to, and it's rumored to be about $100,000, so it's not a whole ton of money. It should probably be more, but
that's less than an Air Force toilet. Come on.
Oh, it's less than 6 months pay for a civil servant at that level. But they make a good case. They said, look, a big part of our job is about flight safety as a priority and national security secondarily, although they're not officially charged with that. And part of this problem is figuring out how to better collect and analyze data, because it's been done in kind of they are saying between the lines, I think, kind of a haphazard or catch as catch can way. So they're going to be looking only at declassified stuff. They did very careful to say there's no evidence that UAPs are extraterrestrial in origin, and made the point this is not part of any Air Force or Department of Defense study. This is just them. What I found most interesting, though, is the composition of the team. So it's being led by an astrophysicist who is formerly the chair of astrophysics at Princeton. But they've got...
Well, that's pretty good. I mean, that's pretty credible.
Well, that's a good start.
Yeah.
And they got professors of astrophysics, physics, and engineering, some former FAA officials, a former NASA legal advisor, which I thought was interesting. But they included a freelance science journalist, which is something I wouldn't have expected, because normally, they don't want us hanging around these kind of things, right? But if you're going to be talking about maybe, how the word goes out if something is found, that makes a lot of sense.
Now, let's be clear. Something does not mean, again, aliens. It just means...
Right. This means we don't know what it is.
Yeah.
It could actually be swamp gas, as Project Blue.
Do you think they would be... Do you think they would be... they would ever say, oh, yeah, it's aliens. Some guy from Mars.
Oh, nice hat. I had to see that.
In a funny hat.
You look like a pastry.
Thank you. I think
it's hard to say. I mean, there's also been a question of, if a government made first contact or something was imminent, would they tell us? How would they tell us? These things have
because they know people would freak out, right? I mean, if this is the stuff of every what they call first contact science fiction novel. It's
and how many of us would freak out and how many of us would go, gosh, that's cool. If they're hundreds of light years away, I'm not quite as concerned as if they discover they're hanging out by Jupiter somewhere and they're aiming a giant laser at us or something. But I don't know. It's probably got more implications for philosophy and religion than it does for just immediate, day-to-day concerns for most people.
Yeah.
They do also have an oceanographer and biologist, which I thought was fascinating. But so many of these things are spotted by naval task forces. I guess that makes sense. Former Undersecretary of Science and Tech at Homeland Security, an astronaut medical strategic planner, and Scott Kelly, retired astronaut. So this is a pretty good group, and it's not that the other groups haven't been assembled of very smart people, but this one's fully public and transparent.
When will they report back?
About June or July of 23.
Okay, I'm going to
not very long.
Put a pin in my calendar.
But again, we need to temper our expectations, because what they're really saying is we need a better way of looking at and classifying and sifting through the data. So I don't think we're going to get the report that many of us would like. I mean, that's pretty careful language, right?
So how many days has it been since Artemis didn't launch?
Oh God, 6 weeks. Tarek and I go back and forth. Every week on the podcast, I go, sigh, Artemis update.
So the current schedule is November between the 12th and 27th.
I think 14th.
Okay.
And
Tarek is betting what, that it will or will not, because he went down. Poor guy went down to watch it.
Oh, a couple of times, and he bet me his Star. Well, I bet him for his Star Trek chair. He never agreed, but I bet a whole month later. I think he said September, I said October, and we both lost. But in my world, that's an incremental win towards the chair. I did want to mention though, we do have a scary Halloween story.
Okay,
so a new hazardous asteroid between 1,000 and 2,500 feet.
Is it a planet killer?
Well, it's large. It's not a planet killer, and it's going to pass tomorrow by Earth. But when I say by Earth, at 1.4 million miles, which is what, 6 times the distance the moon is. So it's not close, but anything closer than about 100 million miles is considered a potentially hazardous near Earth object. So it's something that they're keeping track of, along with 28,000 other objects. The dinosaur asteroid was about 6 miles across, so it's much smaller than that, but it would still be enough to wipe out a county at least, and
a county,
cause just a county, and cause major disruption of the environment. So we don't like that. So that's always a cool story. The asteroid's going to cross Earth orbit and come close to the planet on this date. But the part I actually liked better was the follow-up to that. On the clickbait column was that China is planning to do their own follow-on to the DART mission, but they're going to send, according to the story, 23 of their largest rockets, the Long March 5, to divert asteroid Bennu, which is 1,600 feet across, and closer to the size of Didymos than the little moonlet Dimorphos that DART hit. And that may be a rubble pile asteroid. So that is interesting. I don't know how true it is, how accurate it is. I've tried to track it down. I just spotted it today, but it'll at least get your eyebrows up.
It would be just our luck that we push it one way and they'd come and they'd push it the other way and end up hitting the Earth. Holy cow. Rod Pyle, spaceman. Thank you, Leo Laporte.
Happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween. The tech guy. There's a really hysterical 3D animation somebody made of what it would look like if a big asteroid hit New York City. Have you seen that?
Oh, there's a bunch of them. We're constantly looking at them.
Let me see if I can
they're pretty horrific. And then they have other ones where they have asteroids of different sizes hanging over Manhattan, so you can see the comparison of the asteroid to the building size and all that. Yeah. And it's a little distressing when you look at it, and when you think of how long we've been wandering through the solar system on this planet with relatively few hits, and statistically,
but let me ask, don't we have, at this point, aren't we able to observe well enough that we can see everything, or we can predict everything that might hit? It's not like something's going to come out of nowhere.
Well, you'd think that, but these things are dark, and
so it's possible there's one lurking around the back of Pluto that could hit us.
I mean, it would take time to get here, and you'd hope they'd spot it with a little more warning. And again, you need enough warning to divert it, which we don't even have the tech to do at this point. So it's kind of a moot conversation. But that's why this research is important. Am I in favor of China slamming 23 large rockets into a potential rubble pile asteroid? Not really, because it just splits it into a bunch of smaller pieces that go anywhere they want. But if it turns out it's solid enough, which is still in debate. This is Bennu I'm talking about, which is not, Bennu does not threaten Earth until like 2178 or later, so it's not an immediate concern. You and I will be long out of business by then. But and our costumes
I might be out of business a little sooner than that. Just thinking.
Our costumes will be rotting away on our tombstones,
moldering.
but it's it's something to bear in mind. Be looking at. But I just thought the idea of 23 rockets. I mean, there are space powers that haven't launched 23 large rockets in their entire history. So doing it in a year's time to get them all to one asteroid.
That sounds more like hold my beer than
it kind of sounds like we're having a conversation about this. Well, and they love to put out these kind of clickbaity stories.
Yeah.
Remember the moon hut?
Yeah.
Moon thing?
Yeah.
That was, I think, from everything I've read, kind of a deliberate plant. And,
yeah.
By the way, I meant to mention, I forgot. We're going to be doing the UFO, UAP, and NASA story on the podcast on Friday with probably the most prominent space journalist of the last 30 years, a guy named Leonard David, who loves this stuff.
Nice.
So
I'll write.
Convince us it's true.
Leonard David, and that's this Friday's Twists.
Yeah, 11 a.m. record. I think it goes up about 2 Pacific time.
So, good. Okay. Do you know what episode number it is?
It's 36, I believe.
Okay.
Hold on, I could tell you.
I could go to twit.tv/.
Yes, episode 36.
Okay, good. Yeah. I shall plug it when I return.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. And have a wonderful
Thank you.
Halloween.
You too. And,
do people come to your boat and ask for candy?
I'm not on the boat. I'm back at the condo, and I don't think anybody's ever knocked on our door.
Mm-hmm.
We're in one of those little neighborhoods that's kind of back on a private road, and
we're in a cul-de-sac. We've never had trick-or-treaters either.
You're in a cul-de-sac on a mountaintop, right?
Cul-de-sac on a mountaintop. That's exactly right. Actually, we are in the mountain. We live in the mountain. It's a kind of my evil lair.
I like it.
Yeah. Hey, thanks, Rod.
Thank you.
Have a great week.
Good one.
Bye.
You too.
Consider, if you will, a radio show host devoted entirely to talking about technology. A man who wears funny hats and talks to people about their printers. You've entered the Tech Guy Zone. Leo Laporte, the Tech Guy, wrapping it up for this weekend. I do hope you have a good Halloween. We got a few more callers to get through not get through, that's the wrong way to put it, Leo. It sounds like you're not happy about them. To enjoy, to talk to, including David in Fresno. Hello, David.
Hey, Leo, how's it going?
It's going well. How are you?
I'm doing okay.
Good. What's up?
I bought an Anchor 11-in-1 USB hub.
I like Anchor's stuff. ANKER.
Yeah, so do I.
Yeah.
And here's my problem. I bought it from my desktop, and this hub has like a 3-inch cable on it.
That's not very useful. Wait a minute. It's got a little tiny, it's like a tail, not a cable.
Yeah. I don't know what they were thinking. I was like, what? Did it get, first of all, did it get cut off? What the heck happened? But it's extremely short. I've never seen one this short on a hub before.
So what's the name of this one? I want to find it. Is it the...
I got it on Amazon. It's the Anchor 11-in-1.
Yeah, 565 USB hub. Oh, I'm seeing it. Oh, you know why? Well, maybe not. I'm looking at one. It looks like it's not made for plugging into power, but plugging into a pewter. That's for plugging into your iPad or your computer, and then you have on it a USB-C port designed for plugging into a plug. So you power it through that, and then the short little dongle is designed for plugging into a computer or a laptop.
Right, and I'm trying to plug it into my desktop.
Yeah.
So I started to say, okay, well, then I'll just buy an extension.
Oh, so I see what you're saying. So you're plugging into a port, let's say on the back of the desktop, and it doesn't reach around far enough so you can access Yeah, I understand. So how would you extend that? I think maybe they intend it more for laptops than they do desktops.
Yeah. They do have USB extension cables.
Yeah?
Some say that they're charging. Some say that they're data.
Oh, this is one of the big problems with USB.
Will the data charge?
Yes.
The data cable charge?
Usually, if it says data, it means we do charging plus data. So the problem with USB-C, and if you look up the spec, they're supposed to put a little icon on these cables that says what they do, and nobody does this. Because USB-C says nothing about the capabilities. It just talks about the connection. Here's what the port looks like. Right. Here's what the connector looks like. But what is the wiring on that? That's what's important. Yeah, you want one that ideally, I'm thinking with this, does everything, including video. So USB-C is capable of carrying power. It's capable of carrying data at a variety of different ways. You can even get USB-C that can carry Thunderbolt 4 and USB 4. as well as or it could be slower USB 2, USB 2.1, Thunderbolt 3, or no Thunderbolt at all. So that's the data portion. And then some of them can also carry DisplayPort and video and HDMI. You don't, I think, unless you're going to connect video to that, and that Anchor may have an HDMI port, in which case
it does.
Yeah, so in that case, you want the best cable you can get. Here's what I would do. I don't know if Cable Matters is the company I like. I don't know if Cable Matters makes a USB-C extension cable or not. But if they do, that would be the company to buy. Whenever I need to buy a USB-C cable or a Type-C cable that does it all, they make an extension, $12. And they say, let's see, we want to look at the capabilities. I trust Cable Matters. They are braided cables. They're very high quality. And if they say it will carry data, and it will carry video, then you're going to absolutely also carry a charge. So this will, on the Amazon listing, it will say what it carries. And this is the problem with USB-C. It's a universal issue. So you got to look at the specs. So it does fast charge up to 100 watts, USB 3.2 speed. So it's not a Thunderbolt capable cable. It doesn't look like they don't mention video, so maybe it doesn't do video. So maybe that's not the one. Oh, yeah, it does do video. So, this looks like it'd be a good choice. I trust Cable Matters. In fact, when, it's very easy to get a USB-C cable that could actually damage stuff. There's a guy who works at Google. His name is Benson Leong. He actually listens to our shows. Love you, Benson. He did the most important thing some years ago. He went out and actually tested these cables and then would go on Amazon in the reviews section and say, don't buy this, it'll fry your laptop. Or this one's okay. Because not all cables are made alike. So you're asking exactly the right question. If it supports data, it will support charging usually, but you check and see, make sure, and you want 100-watt charging if you can do it. That's USB-C PD, or power delivery. And you want video too, it sounds like, for this Anchor. So the problem here is this is really intended for a laptop. That's why they put this little shorty tail on it. But Cable Matters does make extension cables, and you're going to want to find one that does everything that you need it to do. And I'm sure that they do, because they're a good company.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay. Hey, thanks for the call. Good question. It's something I think a lot of us run into. It's a little bit of a problem. I like USB-C. Apple has even said from now on, starting, if not next year, the year after, even iPhones will drop Lightning and go USB-C. USB-C is the future, but they've got to do something about labeling, especially now that we have Thunderbolt 4 and USB 4 over that USB-C connector. What'll it do? Greg's next. Final call from Fort Collins. Hello, Greg.
Hi, Leo. Hey, thanks for taking my call. I've listened to you for 15 or so years, and all those times I've had wanted to call in I managed a network operations center for a university, but now that I'm retired, I finally have a problem I think that is appropriate for your show.
You're the expert. We should be calling you if you operated a NOC.
Yeah, as a manager, I was good at sending calendar invites. All those years, I had an Android phone. It's a Samsung S2. I traded in for my Trio at the time, and I switched here in the last couple of weeks to an iPhone 14. And when I transferred the text messages over, Apple's kind of got that app that switched to iOS or something that I used, and the text messages came in for the most part, But the pictures didn't from the past. And I didn't know if you or somebody in the chat room had some advice.
Where were your pictures? So on the Android device, they were probably stored in Google Photos. Is that correct?
Well, I'm sorry, in the text messages.
Oh, in the text messages. I misunderstood.
Didn't come across. Yeah.
So there is a setting, which I always turn on, to save photos that come in text messages to your album. Too late to do that now. But that is for going forward when you're looking at your iPhone, check that box. That way, when people send you a picture, because most of the time that's the case, right? Sometimes they're throwaway, but you can easily delete them. But most of the time you want to save them. My wife sent me a bunch of pictures of her and her girlfriend in their Halloween costumes. I wanted those in my photo album. So I checked that box. So now what you need to do is get them off. They're still on the Android phone, or did you get rid of the phone?
No, I still have.
Okay. So now you got to get them off the Android phone. If you're on a Mac, You have to use Android file transfer to do that. You put that on the Mac, it will see the phone as a USB drive. Then you can just look for your photos, copy them, and you'll have them. Or look for your messages, copy them, and you'll have them. If you're on Windows, you don't need any special driver. It should just pop up.
And there's no way to get them back into those text messages?
Oh, that's another question. I don't know. So you want to keep the text messages as well?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can. So yes, absolutely. There are a number of Android apps in the Play Store that will save your entire text messages out to a file that you can then move over.
Oh, okay.
And if you search for SMS backup, you'll find a million of them. SMS backup, I think, in fact, is the name of the one I use. Hey, thanks for the call. Thanks for listening. Have a great Halloween. Leo Laporte, the Tech Guy. Have a great Geek Week. Well, that's it for the Tech Guy Show for today. Thank you so much for being here. And don't forget, TWIT, T-W-I-T. It stands for This Week in Tech, and you'll find it at twit.tv, including the podcasts for this show. We talk about Windows on Windows Weekly, Macintosh on Mac Break Weekly, iPads, iPhones, Apple Watches on iOS Today, security on Security Now. I mean, I can go on and on. And, of course, the big show every Sunday afternoon, This Week in Tech. You'll find it all at twit.tv. And I'll be back next week with another great Tech Guys show. Thanks for joining me. We'll see you next time.